They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. How's everyone doing? Good evening, chat. What's going on, Sarge? How is everyone doing this fine night? I don't know where I was going to go with that. I was going to go somewhere with that, and I completely brain farted. So what's going on, Sarge?
Not much, man. Not much.
Second show of the brand new year.
I've got my computer on life support, basically. I'm taking bets to see when it'll finally blow up.
What, your computer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chat, what is going on? We do have brand new emotes that we got unlocked yesterday because of everyone that either became a member yesterday or got gifted a membership from either YouTube Lurker or Stealth Gaming. So appreciate all that. We unlocked 4 new emotes last night. So I created a Batman. I'm Batman. It's me as Batman with the beard, the piece, the psychic one, and the I'm shocked face. So that's the 4 new emotes that we put inside there. So if you remember, emote away. On today's show, chat. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto Online adding something new. We're going to be talking about Skull and Bones. We're going to be talking about Ubisoft in general. They canceled a couple things. Their stocks are down. We're going to talk about Ubisoft a little bit. We got lots to talk about Xbox, or I should say Microsoft. We're going to be talking about the developer direct that's coming out. We made a video earlier this week saying that was a rumor, and now it's true. So on January 25th, they have a developer direct at 3 p.m. On, I think that's a Friday. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and what they're going to show there. We're going to talk about Redfall a little bit, Sarge. I covered it earlier in the week. We might talk a little bit about Wayfinder. I don't know if you saw what I talked about a little bit about Wayfinder, Sarge, earlier in the week. We're going to talk about Starfield, or as we've been calling it, Starfall. Or Starfailed. We've been saying that by accident or on purpose, whichever one you want to take. We're gonna be
I'm sure it'll do very well.
Oh yeah. Gears of War.
It's on Game Pass, right?
That's right.
I'm sure it'll do very well.
It's gonna sell so many copies, Sarge, on Game Pass. So many.
What I want to know is this. This is what I'm trying to figure out. Is the funnel the way I'm thinking it is? Is Starfield on PlayStation? Yes or no?
No, it's not. It is not on. It is not. It's only on PC Game Pass. PC. If you buy it on PC, you can buy it on Xbox, or you can play it on Game Pass on PC, or play it on Game Pass on console.
Okay, so the only way you're buying now, Starfield,
is if you don't have Game Pass.
Own a PC or an Xbox, and you don't have Game Pass.
Right, and you don't have Game Pass. That's right.
This is going to be the most ridiculous lie about titles purchased ever when this game comes out.
Well, that's how all of the games are going to be from now on, like first party title games, right? Like, okay, I'm sure if there's like let me get through the opening before we start diving into the conversations like this. Gears of War is coming out with a game, Sarge. We'll talk about what type of game it's coming out with. All right, we're going to talk about a patent, Sarge. We're going to talk about a patent where you scream out at your television set that Sony patented. We're going to talk about that later on the show.
That sounds good.
We're going to talk about some Hogwarts Legacy news. We're going to talk about Google Stadia. We're going to have a phone call. I don't have the phone number anymore. Wait, let me see. Wait. There it is. No, Abe, we can't pick up the phone right now. No, if you're watching the show, Abe, Abe, you can't. You can't. No, stop calling Abe. Abe is senile. He's a little gone. So Abe will call in later and tell us what's dead. He's gonna call us and tell us what's dead. Saudi Arabia, Sarge. Saudi Arabia. It's okay if you wear headphones. That's supposed to wake you up. Saudi Arabia is making a lot of purchases, Sarge. They're making a lot of purchases. They purchased some more stocks in Nintendo. We'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about D&D if we can get past the rest of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about D&D. You have some information about it for us. And then also, we're going to talk about VR, AR. Apple might be coming out with a VR, AR headset. And I think that about does it for that. So that's on today's show. So it's time for what we've been playing. All right, Sarge, what have you been playing? Have you played anything this past week?
Nope.
No, you haven't played anything.
100% Division 2. 100%.
All right, so you've been playing. You playing some Division 2?
100% Division 2. Yes, right, grinding like a crazy person. Yes.
So have you found like a new love for the game? Have you found new love for the game, or are you just kind of bored out of your mind and you're like, you know what, this is the game that I want to play?
Well, in the beginning of the year, I always go through like this little cycle of like what I'm going to play for games and what am I looking forward to, and the games I'm looking forward to, I should play something similar. So then when it comes out, then I'm comfortable playing it as opposed to going in cold turkey. And I guess it's the only game currently that's holding my attention because I've given myself goals in the game in order to spec out my character.
Right. Like you're going for something.
Yeah. Like right now, the goal is to get to 1,000 level.
So 1,000 level?
Then, get to 1,000.
Okay.
Right. So then I could do the Warlords
content.
So I can do the Warlords content to get the unlimited resources, so I can update the gear that I want to update finally, and then go into the Dark Zone and get some payback. I have some names down that I'm looking for.
Okay.
I have some names of guys I'm going to be looking for when I go in there.
Wait for the DZ?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some people with the DZ builds, man. They just run up to you and they just they kill you in a millisecond.
It's redonkulous.
Yeah,
it's just redonkulous.
Yeah, that's why I hate going to the DZ. It was like that in the very beginning. In Division 1, it was like that.
Yeah, but there's a trick you can do when you start a new character.
I know, I saw it. Yeah,
you go to level 30.
You go to level 30, run around, grab all the resources, and keep that guy at level 30, and then never level him up, and then you can just keep going back and getting the stuff. Yeah. The D&D movie, Krebsy, real quick. The D&D movie looks like a ripoff of Guardians of the Galaxy. Sorry, go ahead.
I predict that the D&D movie will probably be as bad as the old cartoon was.
Oh, it looks worse than that. It looks worse than that, Sarge.
I know it does. I know it does. Did anyone see who Dungeon Master is? Did they show it? Did anybody see who Dungeon Master is?
No.
No,
I don't think they show the Dungeon Master.
Because my brain tells me it's going to be one of those full-size people, but they're going to put it on like a computer alterated small body,
right?
And I can't. I'm trying to figure out who it is they would do. Who would be the Dungeon Master? And the scary thought is I keep thinking it's Patrick Stewart. I keep thinking that it's going to be Patrick Stewart because, and here's my rationale behind it, because of who's in it and who stars in it.
Is it Jack Black?
He played Captain Kirk, right? That I think that they're going to bring in another Star Trek person into the movie. That's the way my brain works. Like, you know what I mean?
Have you seen the trailer, Sarge? Have you seen the trailer for the new Dungeons and Dragons?
I tried to watch it. I tried to watch it, but
it's got Chris Pine in it.
Yeah,
from Star Trek. If that makes you feel better. He played Kirk. So
I know.
So the trailer looks they ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy recipe. They just like, hey, this worked for Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's do it for this. That's exactly what it looks like.
But it's D&D.
Right. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
It's D&D. Like the whole point of the cartoon was the kids were lost in a world, and then they were manipulated to stay there in order to help out people in that world, as opposed to going back to their own world without the magic weapons and just helping people there.
Right.
Right. Because if anybody's watched the cartoon when they were younger,
the old cartoon,
right?
Yeah.
They went home twice, and they went back and they came back. Like here we found a way out. We should go out. And then their truest heart said, I should go back to the spot where I'm about to die every day, as opposed to just going home.
Right. It's boring at home. It's boring at home.
Yeah, it's boring. Right? Well, because there was no cell phones or iPads then, right? That's why.
Right.
It's like, who wants to go to soccer practice? I'd rather be a barbarian in a D&D game. Right?
Real quick, I just want to say thank you very much, El Dente, for becoming a member. Appreciate that very much. Anybody else that wants to become a member, we have a membership button now. And if people do gift memberships, you have to make sure you're opt-in. There's a little button, little thing that pops up on the screen. Make sure you're opt-in. So if you are here and someone does gift a membership, that you can get, you can claim it. So Sarge, you're going for a build. I almost got sidetracked yesterday, right? I don't know if Rebel's in chat. If Rebel's here, we got a sniper rifle yesterday, and I forget what the sniper rifle was called. And I've been building up.
You mean the rogue magnet? You mean the rogue magnet?
Yeah,
right?
I've been building a LMG and an AR build for like months now, right? I got a chameleon last night that is just this much better than the one I have, right? Like, so it saves me one level up to get the resources and stuff. So I'm going to use it, but it's also 200,000 damage less, right? Or 0.2 less of the damage, right? So I was like, okay. But then right before we got off, we did a mission and I got a drop of this sniper rifle. And I forget what the sniper rifle's called. And it's a god roll. Like it was maxed out across the board. I was like, ooh. I was like, and now I want to build a sniper rifle build. And I'm like, no, stay focused, 30. You gotta stay on this. You've been on this for weeks and months trying to level up the LMG and the AR build. And now I found this sniper rifle, and now I'm like, I might.
Yeah, don't deviate.
Yeah,
don't deviate. You gotta finish one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not horrendous, but I'll tell you what. If you get into a nice groove, and I get into a nice groove where this is what I do now. I bounce around inside the zone, and I get everything to like level 3 or 4, and then I call for matchmaking. I call for help, and then as soon as someone pops in, I'm doing a bounty, right? I pick a bounty, and then I bounce from bounty to control point, back to bounty to control point. And then when I see somebody starting to wander, they start going in a circle, which means they're getting ready to leave. Then I do the main mission, and I have my manhunt mission reset. So the new manhunt, I have it reset. So when I pick it, it's the manhunt mission. And no one wants to leave because it's the manhunt mission because they know you get a good drop.
Right.
So I basically I'm keeping randos with me the whole time, and my levels are just going like this.
Yeah, I went up 7 levels last night in about 2.5 hours. We were just doing control points and doing missions, and we were just flying. I like the Guardian thing though. Last week we did
it's fun.
What was it called? The polarity one last week, and then this week's
the
Guardian.
minus and plus.
Yeah. I like that one, but then I really liked this one, right? Because I'm like, oh, this is cool because you have to find the guy, so it kind of changes up the feel of the game. But then when you hit that guy, when you hit the Guardian down and your gun gets,
you just clean house.
Oh, it's like woo! You just
start cleaning house.
Yeah, it's like a laser. It's like a laser.
I'll tell you what gun is worth having. A maxed out stoner.
Oh,
if you have a maxed out stoner and you trip that buff, you basically it's a chainsaw. It's hilarious.
Yeah, well, Rebel said he was using the Bullet King. I think he was. He says he goes, it's stupid. He goes, it's so stupid. It's so stupid, right? Like I was just using the chameleon.
It means fun.
Yeah. No, yeah. Stupid means it's fun. Like it's just my chameleon when I get the bonus is literally it doesn't move. It's just a laser and and you're just burning through bullets. I was like, man, this is fun. It was a fun little thing, and I've never really partaked in any of those events that they have through each week. I saw them and I was like, whatever. It's just this. I'm actually having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with Division 2 right now. Even when I'm not streaming, I kind of like log in, do a couple of missions, and then I log out. Like, I don't know. It's just fun again. And amazing part, Sarge, it's been 4 years since this game has been out, right? 4 years this game's been out. It's been 6 years since Division 1's been out. And I can't believe, like, not that I've been playing it every day for 4 years, right? Because
this is a placeholder. It's a placeholder game.
Right. I don't know. And I know Transformers is coming out, and I know I'm excited about that. I don't think I'll ever play a game like I played Destiny again, because I like hate it, because I played so much of that one game. I missed out on so many other games, right?
Yeah, but it was so fun at the time.
Sure.
It really was. It really was fun at the time.
I might fall back on the words, and I might be playing Transformers every day
but do you remember
a year maybe, but I don't know about 4 years.
Yeah, but you do remember the reason why we played Destiny as much as we did is because we just got out of playing Borderlands 2 for 3 years.
Well, no, we were playing Defiance. We were playing Borderlands 2 and Defiance before
Destiny came out.
Yeah, Defiance.
And so you were used to it. You were used to playing that long.
Yeah. It was just, I just miss out. Like, I look back on it, and I'm like, man, I missed so many games. Someone's like, hey, have you played this game? I'm like, when did that come out? I'm like, no.
Oh, during those years?
You mean the 6 years? Yeah. And I played Destiny 1 solid for the 3 years. Solid.
Oh yeah.
And then when Destiny 2 came out, that's when I was like, I played it, put it down, played it, put it down, played it, put it down, type of thing. But I don't know if I ever want to play a game like that again. It's got to be good. It's got to be something I'm interested in. Here's a hope.
We'll see.
Here's a hoping.
We'll see how Hogwarts is, and we're going to see how the Transformer game is.
Well, I haven't been playing much myself. I've been playing Star Wars Legos on Mondays. The Skywalker Saga. I really like that game, man. It's just a fun game. Have you tried it yet? Of course not. You haven't said you played it.
No.
All right. You got to download it.
But I already have the other the complete saga thing. What do I need now?
It's a completely different game. Completely different game. They reworked the whole battling system, the way you fight. There's like boss fights, like actual like boss fights and stuff.
Is there still 100 guys I'm supposed to unlock?
There's 1,000 guys. And there's 1,000 guys, and there's a sale going on right now where you pay like, I think it's like $6 and you get like another 48 guys. Like right? Like
I don't know if I need that.
You don't need that. You don't need that. But what I'm saying is the game itself, there's just tons of stuff to do. They reworked everything. Get this, Sarge. I was playing a mission where I was in Luke Skywalker's TIE Fighter, and I'm doing it felt exactly like Starfighter Assault in Battlefront. I was like, this feels better than Squadrons. Okay, they reworked the system, and it felt good. I was like, man, I want a whole game like this. Like, I want a game where I'm playing an MMO of Star Wars Legos. Right? We were having a conversation about it. I've been playing that. I've been playing some Battlefield 2042 or Betafield, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with that game. I was playing by myself the other day, just sticking with randos and stuff, and you can actually see the group of people that are playing the game right now. They actually play Battlefield. Like, if they were Convergence and they came over, or they're playing, but people are reviving people, dropping ammo, doing stuff, sticking together. You'll see some guy come across, and what I really like, it's a small little thing, but it's a quality of life thing. When you're down on the ground, okay, if you're dead, the medic can put his cursor over you and hit RB like he's spotting somebody and tell you, I'm coming, right? And then you can just sit there. And then, so one match, I died like 8 times, but I didn't die 8 times because I just stayed there and someone came over and revived me, right? And so I had 0 deaths that match because they just kept coming over. So,
well, 0 deaths for you,
yeah, 0 deaths,
but the kills count for the guy that puts you down.
Sure, but I got 0 deaths. Yeah. I don't care about what his kill stats are. I mean, I barely look at the scoreboard, even though they put it in. I had a reason why they didn't put the scoreboard in earlier, Sarge, is so they knew that half the people weren't playing. That's why they didn't have a leaderboard, so you couldn't see. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I've been playing the Star Wars Legos on Mondays. I played Battlefront on Tuesday. I'm playing Division on Wednesdays. Starting in March, right before 17 days before Jedi Survivor comes out, I'm going to replay Jedi Fallen Order on stream. I got to play 3 hours a day, every day, up until the 17th, because I'll finish the story campaign of Jedi Fallen Order as long as I get 3 hours in. Just the main story, just moving through the story, and I should finish it by the time Jedi Survivor comes out, and then we'll just go right into Jedi Survivor on that Friday. I'll have a special stream, and I'll go live for that. Yeah, so it should be fun. And then Hogwarts obviously comes out in a month before that. So we're going to be playing Hogwarts Legacy, and that's going to be a hard thing to do because if I'm really enjoying Hogwarts in February and then March comes, I'm like, I don't know if I want to put down Jedi. I don't know if I want to play Jedi Fallen Order, right? So I even might play it off stream and then upload them and then play Hogwarts on stream. I'm not sure how I want to do that. I still got to get 3 hours somewhere to
I'm
put it in.
I'm waiting for Darkest Dungeon 2 to come out for Game Pass. I want to play Darkest Dungeon 2.
Is it?
It's been out for almost a year now.
Don't you own it?
The first one, not the second one.
Oh, I see. I played it. I just deleted those videos off of my main channel.
Yeah, there's a second one. It's on PC, but it's not on Xbox yet. I really like that game. It's a good strategy game. I'll tell you what I started playing because of all this. You know what? I lied. I did play something else.
You lied, chat.
I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it because I only played a little bit, right? Like I only dabbled.
Liar.
It wasn't like I dabbled, right? Because of all the media frenzy around Dungeons and Dragons and the OGL and that whole story, I started playing because Baldur's Gate 3 is about to come out.
Right.
Well,
and it's about to come out.
Yeah, it's about to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's March, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta check the date one more time. I believe it's March, and I think that I might have to get a PC to play it. I think I might buy a PC just to play that game. I've played the first two when I was younger, and you can play them on Game Pass.
It looks like August. It looks like August, Sarge.
Oh, it got pushed back? Is it August?
It looks like August.
Oh God. All right. So anyway, I've been playing the first and second one on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And so it's the traditional D&D rules. I love the story. And if you ever played an action RPG from back in the day, that was the culmination of the AD&D series, which was like Pool of Radiance. I can't remember what the other two games were, but it was a trilogy, and it was that little clicky. It's basically a side scroller with the dungeon look, with all the walls were slanted, and your guy goes click 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 click. He's just on a square, right? And then when you did an attack, you just went like this. You know, your guy just goes the little animation. Yeah, that's the original D&D games.
Oh, you're talking about okay. I didn't know what you're talking about there for a second.
Yeah.
Dark and Darker, I'm excited for when it comes out. I signed up for the alpha. Hopefully, I get in on the next one. Sarge, if you get the computer before February, you gotta sign up for this alpha. It's called Dark and Darker. It'll be right up your alley. It's like a Tarkov type game, but it's medieval. Like think of it as a melee wizards. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's Dungeons and Dragons. Look it up. It's a fantastic looking game.
Lurker, what was the name of the other one? There was a trilogy though, right? It was Pool of Radiance, and there was two other ones. There was like a trilogy. I can't remember. I'll have to look them up. But I love that kind of stuff, dude. I loved it. Listen. I even loved the Bard's Tale, and Bard's Tale had zero graphics. Right. In the corner of the screen, it was a little 3-dimensional view of where you were walking. It was all grid. Yes, thank you. Curse of Azure, yes.
There you go.
I love that stuff. Man.
Showing your age, Lurker. Showing your age.
And those games were the shit, dude. Those games were.
I think that's why I like Vampire Survivor. Vampire Survivor sets me back.
Did you play Wasteland yet?
I haven't
played Wasteland.
I haven't played Wasteland.
Okay, yet. Wasteland 2 on Game Pass. Did you play Wasteland? That game is so punishing, man. So punishing.
Well, you're really selling it to me. I should go download it right now.
Well, if you try to be.
Have you played this game? Have you played this game? It's punishing. It's so fun.
If you play Wasteland 2, if you try to be the guy who's good at everything, your team dies. You have to have specialists.
It's like
you can't be the guy who does everything.
It's like Frostpunk. Frostpunk is brutal, man. Frostpunk is brutal.
It's so good. It's such a rewarding game, though. Once you figure out how to spec out your guys correctly, the game becomes much easier. But that learning curve is incredible.
Yeah, I haven't tried Wasteland.
Big T, tell me on your Apple IIc, right? Because ammunition was very, very rare in that game, so you had to like single shot the whole time or do burst fire. You fire 3, but every once in a while you hit the wrong key and you do full auto. And the poor Apple IIc would make that little a full auto noise. It would go, like to represent full auto in the game. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And you burn a clip. Oh man. Oh, those are the games of the best, man.
There was a game we were talking about the other night, Sarge, and I couldn't remember what system it was on. I can't remember the game now. I brought it up and I was like, I think it was on the Apple IIc, but I couldn't remember.
I would play those games again. I would play Pool of Radiance, like an updated version of it. I would play it again. I know it's old school and you can't look at it for more than 10 minutes, but I would still go. I'd fight through it. It's a good game.
I don't know. There's some of them that I feel like. You back in the day, and I'm talking about 10 years ago, like you would get excited to play an older game, and you would take the old Nintendo or the old Sega or the Dreamcast, and you take the time, you hook it up, and you put in the game, and you sit down, you're like, I'm so excited to play this game, and you're in there, and you're like, yeah, I'm good. It was good. It was good seeing you. I really appreciate it. You unplug it, you put it back in, you put it back on the shelf. You're like, okay, there it is. You're gonna stay there.
Well, I'll tell you the new one, the Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. That's like the updated version of what Baldur's Gate is, just a new D&D version.
Yeah.
That game's incredible. Like for an action RPG, incredible. You could take your guy, right? And then yes, I watched the Spiffing Brit. For those of you who watched the Spiffing Brit, he totally trolled the game and blew everybody up with a barrel. You can go look it up. It's hilarious. However, if you play the game normal, right, the environmentals in that game are incredible. You can knock over a flame, right, and then use the fire to do something else with a spell. You can knock over water and then freeze the water, and it makes it ice, and guys are sliding everywhere. The environment in that game plus the spells are everything in that game. So you can figure out how to beat somebody without actually having to melee them to death.
Right.
It's such an intuitive game. They did such a great job with it. And I know a lot of people don't talk about it because they're into that kind of stuff. They're not into like an action RPG, that kind of thing. But man, it's such a good game. I own both of those too.
Yeah, I was just looking tonight. I was like, I want to play a different game. And I did it again, Sarge. I downloaded The Witcher 3 because the upgraded graphics. I was like, maybe I'll jump back into this. And I was like, what am I doing? I was like, Hogwarts is coming out in 3.5 weeks. What am I doing?
Well, allegedly.
No, Hogwarts is coming out on the February 7th. They're not delaying that game. That full steam ahead. Okay. That train is on the tracks and it's moving 100 miles an hour right now. They are not hitting the brakes. All right, they're not hitting the brakes, which is a good transition. We're going to talk about the top stories. All right, Sarge. So
before you do the top stories though, speaking of trains, did you watch the movie Bullet Train?
No, I haven't seen Bullet Train yet.
You need to watch it.
Okay, I watched behind the scenes making of Bullet Train.
I forget if it's on YouTube or Amazon, whatever it is, Netflix. Just watch it.
I think it's on Netflix. Yeah,
Netflix. You gotta watch it.
Am I watching it because it's good, or am I watching it because it's bad?
It's good. No. It's done well.
Okay. I watched behind the scenes. I want to watch it. I want to watch the movie just because of how they did the special effects and stuff. I always like stuff like that. Yeah, I'll watch it. But Neutralizer says, I've tried Witcher 3 so many times, I just cannot get past the clunky combat. I think I'm the same way, Neutralizer. I get to the same point all the time. Like, I don't even think the game has registered me playing actual hours. Right? I go through the town, I kill the griffin, I kill the witch in the beginning, I go to the first base, go up the thing, talk to the guy, and then I'm bored. And then I'm like, I'm good. I can't do it. Yeah, I'll watch Bullet Train. All right, I want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy, Sarge. I had this conversation earlier in the week. I have a video on this channel. It's called How Big Can It Get? Okay. Now, I was talking about fandom, right? I was talking about fandom and how Harry Potter fandom is one of the largest fandoms out there. It's like Star Wars, like like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter might even be between or above. I don't know, right? It's a phenomenon, right? When Harry Potter happened in the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever. And every time, and Fate Walker came in the other day, and he was telling, well, the mobile games did very bad and stuff like that. I said, yeah, but this game is different, right? There's been other Harry Potter games. I said, but this game is different, right? This game is different.
The mobile games were like when 8-bit Nintendo came out with a Star Wars game or a Terminator game because a Terminator movie came out. It was all garbage, right? That's what the mobile game was for Hogwarts, right? This is a completely immersive game.
You know, I get that. And what I'm saying is that the game is there's so many people excited about this game. It's number one right now on the Steam charts, right? Number one on the Steam charts pre-sales, okay? We looked up numbers the other day, and I remember them by heart. The pre-sales, the number one pre-sale game of all time is PUBG at 30 million copies, all right? But the game also was $30, right? Which half the price, more than half, less than half, right? Whatever. And the next game after the 30 million was Call of Duty 2011, Call of Duty 3, okay? And that was 8.5 million units pre-sale, okay? Then Cyberpunk had 8 million, okay? And then Grand Theft Auto 5 had 7 million units pre-sale. We don't know what the pre-sales are right now for Hogwarts Legacy, but it's number one a month before the game comes out right now on Steam. It's beating free-to-play games. It's beating everything right now. It's the number one game, and obviously it's not going to go below that. Something could go above it, but it's not gonna. No one's gonna stop, right? This is what I'm saying. The train's full steam ahead. These guys are pumping out advertisements. They're telling you who the actors are. There's more videos coming out daily, more information coming out daily about this game. I want to know, Sarge, because it's on PlayStation 5. It's on all systems, on 7 systems. Now, the bad part is, if this game...
It's on 7 systems.
Well, bad part is it's on 7 systems, right? But it's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC day one when it comes out on February 7th if you pre-order, okay? Day one is February 10th. That's day one sales, okay? So the 7th, 8th, and 9th won't count towards like that's pre-sales. And then day one sales, they'll tell you the number, how many it sold or whatever. Do you think it's possible, and I'm not talking about lifetime sales like we did the other day on stream. I'm just talking about pre-sales and day one sales, right? Just to put it out there, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or whatever the last one was, just on the Switch, sold 10 million copies in 3 days, which is the number one selling game of all time for the Switch, and it's on one system. Do you think that Hogwarts Legacy, with the Potter fans and everybody that are saying, even with the dramatic drama that's going on because of J.K. Rowling's and whatnot, do you think that Hogwarts Legacy could surpass the Grand Theft Auto 5 at 7 million? Do you think it could pass Cyberpunk at 8 million? Do you think it could pass?
What's my time frame? Are you saying the first 3 days?
Pre-sale. No, pre-sales.
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 Well, when do you stop counting pre-sales?
Pre-sales is up until day one.
I would have to think there's got to be at least 7 million Potterheads out there.
Right. Well, if you had 7 systems and they all came out the same day, it's 1 million people, 1 million people per system. Okay. Now, obviously, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch are not day one, right? They're not day one. So they have to wait 2 months, and then Switch has to wait another 2 months after that. So here's the bad part about this. If the game comes out and it's a little wavy, okay, let's say it gets a Cyberpunk treatment where people are like, oh, it's really buggy.
We could lose the Nintendo people.
You could lose the Nintendo and the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One people, right? But if it's, as I say, the chef's kiss, it comes out and it's actually a complete game. It comes out, minor bugs, not major bugs, right? A couple bugs here and there, because all games have bugs. But it comes out and it's flawless. I think it shatters. I think it shatters pre-sale records. I think it could flirt with PUBG's 30 million. I know people think I'm crazy, but I feel like this. I feel like I honestly think it's going to sell 15 million copies. That's my heart.
PUBG. This is where you lose the people. This is why you.
PUBG is weird because it's $30 and it's
it wasn't the price point. It's not the price point that does it. It's the fact that it's a first-person shooter survival game, and that genre appeals to a wider mass of people,
right,
than Harry Potter does. So I think, like, this is going to be, and because there's no other games before it, this will be your tester to see how many people actually like Harry Potter. Like whatever numbers you get for this game is pretty much your fan base for people who are playing a game and want to buy Hogwarts. This is why I don't say a lot about it, because there's nothing to compare it to. I'm not comparing it to mobile because that's just dumb.
Right.
It's not the same thing. This is the first Harry Potter game with an amount of dedication, art, and some money behind it, and to see how well the world of Harry Potter comes across in a living game. So I'm waiting to see the number, and then once you have that number, you know where it can go from there.
Well,
but I don't think you're in the 30 million territory.
For pre-sales, I say 15 million pre-sales. Lurker agrees with me.
I'll give you 7 or 8. I think that's a good number.
So you think it will be
number of Potter.
So you think it will be Cyberpunk, but not be Call of Duty?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, 7 to 8 million people for pre-orders. I think before the game comes is a good number for Harry Potter game, especially since it's the first of its kind. Nothing else came out before it, and people are hesitant. I would give you your 30 million if we didn't have 17 games in a row.
See,
screw people.
How many people? Yeah, but how many people? Sure, no, I get what you're saying there, right? People are skeptic because they're like, "Well, is this game going to be good or not?" Right? That's what I'm saying. If it's the chef kiss. Obviously, sales after day one, when the reviews come out, people start playing it, people are seeing it, they're going to see it and go, oh my God, this is a really good game. I think what happens here is you're going to get the Potter fans, no matter what. We had someone in chat the other day, I forget who it was, said they're just getting the game just so they could walk around the goddamn castle because they're so excited to be inside the world of Harry Potter, right? The Hogwarts. So I think it was Jesse Mack. No, was it Jesse Mack? No, it was I forget who it was. But they're just excited to be in the game. Then I think the gamers that have and I'm in this category because I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, right? I enjoyed the movies. I'm a fan of the Harry Potter films because of my background in film, right?
But there's nothing else out.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm interested in this game because as a gamer, I think this looks like a goddamn really good game. It gives me vibes of Skyrim. It gives me vibes of Red Dead Redemption type of thing with the open world as you go around and do, you can explore what you want. I don't know if the story is going to be very good, but again, I play games that have subpar story missions, but overall the game is a good game, and I think this game visually right now and looks phenomenal, right? And obviously there's going to be turmoil because if it's 30 frames or 60 frames or not long enough or bugs free, whatever.
Seven systems, bro.
Yeah. Seven systems. I honestly think that they can't get this game running on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And the reason they separated it was because of bad press. Because if it came out and people that got the 4 and the 1, it would be buggy as hell and they needed extra time. Maybe they don't even need extra time. Maybe it's just not going to run as good. So when it comes out on the PlayStation 5, which they should just have got it on the next gen, but if it's just on the next gen, it doesn't go sell 30 million copies, I'll tell you that. Because there's a lot of people that don't have the next gen system. But because it's on the 4, okay, and because it's on the 1, I think you can get those numbers because those people. Now I just hope it works for them, right? Because this game probably shouldn't be on the old gen consoles, just like Cyberpunk, just like all the other games that have come out. They shouldn't be on the old gen systems. You've had the system for 11 years. It's time to move on. Now, I understand people don't have the money to get the new systems, and sometimes the new systems are not where they are.
Yeah, but that's the same story for every generation of games that come out. Not everybody gets it right away.
Real quick, I just want to say, was it Risky? Risky, thank you very much for the membership, joining the Goonie Squad. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, so I don't know. Chat, where do you land on this? Do you guys think... do you all think that it will beat Grand Theft Auto 5 for pre-sales? Do you think it'll surpass Cyberpunk at 8 million? Do you think it'll surpass Call of Duty at 8.5? Do you think it has a shot at just pre-sales? We're not talking day one. We're not talking 3-day. We're not talking week 1. We're just talking pre-sales. Do you think it has a shot of surpassing PUBG at 30 million copies? I mean, that's insane because, again, it was at $30. I think it was even cheaper for pre-sales if you ordered ahead of time. I think it might have even been cheaper. And that's why so many people got it. I think it was like $20. It was $30 once it came out, I think. I'm not sure. Fact check me, chat, on that. So that's the first story. And then Hogwarts itself, Hogwarts Legacy, let me bring up the news story here. Hogwarts Legacy players are upset, Sarge, about the PlayStation exclusive quest, right? So PlayStation players are getting exclusive quests in upcoming Hogwarts Legacy, and this development has displeased some of the fans, right? So exclusive content is nothing new, but often taking from the item's skins and form a part of pre-purchase or deluxe edition. But sometimes players will find themselves missing out on interesting extras and also exclusive in certain platforms. One example was Dark Arts Battle Arena. While it appears to be exclusive to the deluxe edition on Hogwarts Legacy, unfortunately, in this case, the deluxe edition is available on all platforms at launch. Now, some fans, including the Reddit users known have been wondering why PlayStation owners will be getting exclusive content for Hogwarts Legacy called the Haunted Hogsmeade Shop, which includes a dungeon, a shop, and some cosmetic items. Now, I know this is old news, but the game's getting closer, and now more people are starting to be aware of what's in the game, right? They weren't paying attention before, and now it's coming to the light of day of that PlayStation is getting more than Xbox and PC, and yet they're all the exact same price, right? And now people are starting to be like, hey, what does this mean? Now, I think the Battle Arena anyone can pick up for an extra $10. You get the cosmetics or whatever. But the Hogsmeade shop, we won't know until the game comes out if it has a huge advantage because you have an extra dungeon, which I don't think is a big deal. I think it's like one of these things, Sarge, where you get the pre-order sales. They're like, hey, you get these cosmetic skins. You put them on for 30 seconds. And then
what about the strike, bro? What about the PlayStation Destiny strike? Remember how much everyone cared about that?
2 years. It was
3.
No, it was
3 years.
It was 2 years. It felt like 3 years. It was 2 years. But yeah, but it wasn't a big difference. Like we didn't care that we were pissed off that we didn't get it. Then we forgot about it. And then when it came and then when it came in the game, we're like, oh, this is new.
You don't care.
Right? And PlayStation players are like, that's old. And we're like, well, it's new to us, right? And they're already over it because they've ran it 1,000 times. Do you think it's a big deal for stuff like this particular dungeon and the Hogsmeade shop? Now, the Hogsmeade shop, you might be able to make more money quicker. And it's exclusive for 1 year. So
yeah, I don't believe in separating the content of a game. The only time I would say that maybe it'd be okay is if you had a specific DLC for a specific land or something, then that you buy it separately. But the original game, everybody should get it.
Yeah,
like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like if there was a DLC afterwards that's only for them for a year, it's a completely separate thing. That's your big moment of why you want to get a PlayStation as opposed to an Xbox type of thing. I can see that, but not the original game that comes out.
Yeah,
I think everybody should be getting the same game.
Yeah, it does put a bad taste in my mouth.
It's just scummy.
We all pay the same price, but you get something that potentially could be right.
That's what I mean. So like, if I go ahead.
I was just gonna say if I don't get that content, maybe I should pay $60 instead of the $70, right? I don't know. I just feel like there should be some sort of difference in price.
I like to use the analogy of the amusement park. I think some developers have used this many times now, where the open world genre is basically this land that has entertainment inside it, and so it's in like an amusement park. So like Nunu says, if it's got 20 dungeons and someone gets 19, not a big notice. But if someone gets 5 and the other person gets 4, that's going to mean more. It means more to them, right? All I'm saying is the amusement park has less rides for this system than the other system. That's all it really is.
Right.
Like I have less to do in this game. I don't believe in separation of the player base. Cross-platform or within the same platform. Like that's why I didn't like the whole map thing from when the Battlefield started doing the map things, the map packs, right? Because then your population, if the maps weren't good, then they wouldn't get those map packs, and so you have a less population to work with in those maps. It's the same kind of principle. I just don't like separating them. Everybody, the game comes out, everybody should get the same game.
Real quick, I want to go to chat. Neutralizer says, if you're in a game and it has 20 dungeons, but the regular player gets 19, nobody's going to care. But if there's 5 dungeons, but the regular players get 4, people care a lot more. Yeah. And that's exactly right.
I gave him credit.
Yeah.
No. That's why I got it from.
Well, I know. I'm reading it out to everybody else. That's all. I feel like if there's not enough dungeons in the game, and then one dungeon, right? If there's 2 dungeons in the game and one's located in PlayStation only, you're like, well, I only get 1 dungeon, right? And that's kind of happening with everyone can purchase the Dark Arts Arena stuff. There's 2 arenas in the game. If you buy the extra arena for $10 extra, you pay $80 instead of $70. Then you get 3 arenas, right?
And it's a different background. Oh,
well, you actually get to use the Dark Arts in that, which is huge. And I kind of don't like that they did that in general, because everybody knows that they want to use the Dark Arts, so they put the Dark Arts behind a paywall. Now I get it, but it does put a little bad taste in my mouth.
You're paying someone to be bad, and you want to be bad because bad is being cool in this game. Like to be clear though,
scummy. You're allowed to. The Dark Arts are in the game. Everyone gets to be in the Dark Arts, but if you have the $10 extra to get the Dark Arena, you get to use the things that you wouldn't have yet to practice to see where you would want to build your build to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where if you don't have that, then you can't participate with the Dark Arts, and you have to earn them throughout the game before you can start using the Dark Arts, right?
Yeah. A separate DLC for a system I'm okay with, but for the starting game, I think everybody should get the same. That's where I stand.
All right.
I don't like the separation.
All right, another quick story here. We have a quick story. Is that Grand Theft Auto Online continuously, 8 years later, still adding stuff, adding a traveling gun van with powerful weapons. Okay, I thought this was interesting. So Rockstar Games revealed a gun van in Grand Theft Auto Online merchant that players have to find with a weekly rotating roster of powerful weapons for sale. Didn't they do this in State of Decay? Online titles, especially those who utilize the live service method, continue to strive to keep players logging in day after day through continuously updates and new content. Some online games, like Fortnite, Apex Legends, do this by introducing new characters or skins, while others continue to evolve the world players find themselves in. Now, for loot-based games like Destiny 2 and predecessor of Bungie introduces a mysterious merchant named Xur, who would only appear on the weekends. I hated that. I fucking hated that. While the character...
Well, you hated it because you sold the game week 1 and you missed it.
No, I had it. I got it. I got it. Yeah, people were upset because they couldn't get it. Yeah. While the characters would sell randomly rotating sets of exotic, players would also have discovered the location in the game's world and set a number of places. All right, so now following suit, Grand Theft Auto Online by offering a new weekly merchant for players to find. Over on Twitter, Rockstar Games announced the addition of the gun van into Grand Theft Auto Online, and Vapid Speedio offers players a weekly rotating inventory for powerful weapons, ammunition, and armor for sale. Though players will first need to find a constantly moving merchant inside the massive map of Los Santos to help differentiate it from the other static locations of ammunition guns. Van sells its wares at a discount rate and with no rank requirement. This is to entice GTA Online players to locate the gun van. The merchant is selling exclusive railgun, as well as a 45% discount of the. So basically, they put Zerg in the game, right? And he's running around in a van like Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
It only took 7 years.
Right. Okay. So
but what's the van look like? Is it identifiable? Or is it like the pedophile van that's got no windows?
Well, let me see.
A white van.
It just looks like a regular. Is that a white van, a green van? I'm not really too sure. It's just a very unmarked van, right? You don't want to be too snazzy, Sarge. It's a gun van.
No, I think it should look like the Mystery Machine, like legit the Scooby Doo van.
Scooby Doo van, the Mystery Machine, just straight up.
Yeah, I think that would be hilarious. Because then you would recognize, like, you're driving on the highway and you look over the overpass and you see it, and you see the Scooby Doo van, and you like to do whatever to try to get it. I think that'd be more fun than looking for a white van in a game.
Here's the question I have: how many people are playing this goddamn game right now?
Everyone's
that they decided to put a van 8 years later in the game. Right? Like, how many people are playing this game online still that they're like, oh, this is awesome. I can get other weapons now at this van.
Apparently a lot.
Right. Apparently a crap ton, right?
A lot. Right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be releasing it. Right? I'll tell you what. I believe they release something every time the number drops below a certain threshold. I think as soon as their median line drops a little low, they're like, it's dropping.
Right.
Go make something. And like they put something else out and it makes that jump back up again, and then people play it for a while and it just As soon as it starts going below that, oh, new games came out. Oh, I'm playing something else. Like,
Right.
our median average has gone down. Somebody make the mystery machine and put it out there. Like, that's what they're doing.
Oh,
They don't.
I wouldn't be surprised, Viking. When they come up with updates like this, I'm like, there's a player base there, right? There's a player base playing the game. That's why they keep updating the game. I just want to know what that number is, right? You can never tell because you're only in a lobby of like 24 people, right? So you don't know what the actual. But apparently, it's got to be pretty goddamn big. People are playing GTA Online, GTA RP on PC. Oh yeah, I used to play that 5 years ago. Yeah, I used to play that 5 years ago. We did it on stream. We played some role playing on the stream as well. So going from a very popular game, Sarge, to the debacle of Ubisoft and Skull and Bones, right? So Skull and Bones, Ubisoft came out the other day and said that Skull and Bones is being delayed for the 6th time. Okay. I have a video that's out right now telling you the history of it. Like, it started back in 2013 and it's been delayed every year from 2017 to now. Okay. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and now 22, getting pushed into 23. It's been delayed every year for the last 6 years, and now it's pushing out. And they said when the game comes out, Sarge, that they're going to continue supporting it, right? So they have no plan of dropping this game, which I think at this point they need to, because when this game comes out, nobody's going to care. And the people that do care, it's going to be such a low player base that they're going to stop caring really fast, in my opinion.
I'd like to take the stance of thinking that this game might be the new Lawbreaker.
Oh, well, Lawbreakers was here for a week.
Right. Like, it came out, people played it, and they were like, no. Right. I think Skull and Bones it's a possibility to be the next Lawbreakers.
I think you're giving too much credit. I think Lawbreakers made it a week. I don't think this game makes the light of day.
And I first of all, no matter what happens, no matter what kind of store is in there to monetize, no matter what this game is supposed to be, they are never, ever making a profit on that game.
Off this game, yeah.
Like, they might recoup the money they spent the 6 delays for. Maybe, but they're never getting to the green.
So it says here, shortly after Ubisoft announced the delay of Skull and Bones, the studio issued an official statement explaining why the benefits of doing so. All right, so the official social media account for the latter issues of statement explained that they will change during this period. Despite no longer having a solid release date, the message does say fans will learn of the new one very soon. Now, Ubisoft did say, the following this delay, that the Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and Skull of Bones and the unannounced game are still all set to release in the next fiscal year. So there's still one other game that's coming out in the fiscal year. Reportedly, Ubisoft CEO issued a statement to the staff asking for a full energy and commitment to ensure the company gets back on the path of success. Now, it explains that in 2023, it was a critical time for Ubisoft, but also reportedly stated that the coming pipeline of games is the strongest in the company's history. More will be shared later on this year in the event like E3, but a follow-up update, especially for Skull and Bones, came through official channels as well. Let me see if I can see. According to the below image, Skull and Bones release date was delayed a little bit more so a developer could ensure the best gameplay experience on day one as possible. So let's read that a little bit. Let's read into that a little bit, right? Delayed a little more so the developers could ensure the best gameplay experience on day one as possible. Meaning it's in trouble. And they're just trying to shine it just enough to get to go on day one, right? Specifically, message cites feedback from the player tests in regards to the amount of polish and the current gameplay balance as things we'll be focusing on. However, this delay doesn't mean communications from the devs is ending. No. According to the message, a new episode of The Deck will air on January 13th and feature new gameplay based on Skull and Bones and the lore. Ooh, I'm going to be there, Sarge. I'm going to watch that after the fact. I'm definitely going to make a video on it. So I would like to ask Chat, do you think, in your eyes, is this... I understand it's a video game and you're interested in video games that come out, but this game has been delayed 6 times, maybe 7. They could go for lucky 7, okay? is this on your radar as I'm going to give it a shot? This will never be on my radar unless it's on Game Pass. And if it's on Game Pass, I'll give it a shot, but I'm never going to give them money because 7 years of development. What other game was in development for 7 years, Sarge, and didn't know what it was doing?
Anthem.
What was another game that's not out yet that's been more than 7 years and still don't know what the hell it is?
Beyond Good and Evil 2?
These two games are like one spectrum to the other, right? This game is falling right in the middle of that. Like, this game was supposed to come out the same time as Sea of Thieves. Okay?
In lieu of Skull and Bones, since everyone knows the game's going to be a hot garbage fire, I like to bring up another. I like to talk about something else during this segment instead of Skull and Bones.
Okay, he's doing an audible.
Yep.
He's doing an audible.
I just want to say, anybody who hasn't bought this yet,
what is that?
If you're an old gamer like me,
Dungeon Quest,
right? This is the updated version of Hero Quest.
Oh, Hero Quest.
This is a lot better than Skull and Bones. As a matter of fact, I think this is one of the most fun games I had when I was a kid that I didn't own, and now I went out and bought it because it re-released. And even though it's a year old, right? I was just waiting because all the expansions I knew were coming out, so I got it. This is better than Skull and Bones.
There you go.
Right?
Sarge would rather talk about this than Skull and Bones.
This is old school, like beginner level D&D stuff. That's what this is. This is the gateway to being a Satanist and going into D&D. That's what this is.
Yeah.
This. I'd rather talk about this than Skull and Bones.
How thick is that box, Sarge? Holy Christ! It's like a half a foot.
Yeah, it comes with 70 miniatures.
70
miniatures.
What's the price? What's the price on something like that?
Right, Jesse? I know you got this. I know some of you have this, the old version. I know some of you have this.
What? How much is that?
This is fantastic. I got it for $86.
$86.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones is the same price, Sarge. I think it's like $78.
I know, and this is well worth the money right here. Well worth the money.
All right, so obviously a lot of people were like, well, Ubisoft is canceling. They've canceled 7 games in the last 6 months, Sarge. 3 games this unannounced.
Well, is it canceled or delayed?
No, canceled. They canceled. No. They canceled 4 games last year, 3 games this year.
So anything that doesn't have a piggy bank attached to it, they canceled.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the next conversation I want to have of the story. Ubisoft canceling games. They're not happy with the sales of Mario Rabbids and Just Dance 23. They had poor production or poor performance for those games. Obviously, Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming out. Avatar is coming out. The Star Wars massive game they're working on in the background. Some people were worried that the Star Wars game was going to get delayed or get canceled, but that's not one of the games. They said unannounced. That's why they used the word unannounced games are canceled, not because they announced Star Wars. They announced it. It's known. It's out there. So why would the stocks are tanking? Okay, the stocks are tanking for Ubisoft, right? It's following the news of another Skull and Bones delay on unannounced games cancellation and disappointing sales. Ubisoft's stock price takes a tumble. Okay, Ubisoft's stock price took a 10% hit on the Dow Jones, despite Ubisoft having a number of high-profile games currently in development, including Avatar, Frontier, Pandora, and unannounced Star Wars, Assassin's Creed Mirage, like I just said. And the French company appears to be a bit dire straits at the moment, right? So they haven't. I looked this up. We haven't had a really good game from Ubisoft, right, in about 4 years, right? Division 2 is the last one that really came out that was like a good seller. And that, in the record, says it sold about 10 million copies when it first came out. Division 1 sold 20 million copies. All the rest of the Assassin's Creed are around 9 or 10. Now, Valhalla came out, and we did some math earlier today, because they said that 20 million people have played Valhalla, right? But it doesn't say 20 million people sales, right? So we did the math. We did generic math. We said, okay, well, let's say they made $1 billion at $60. It comes out to 16.6 million copies sold if everyone bought the thing, right? Well, obviously, if 20 million people played, they didn't all play because it's on sale and they get a discount and whatever else. It was on whatever. So they're looking for a hit. They haven't had a hit in a couple years. Valhalla still came out, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? So they haven't had a hit. Why do you think Ubisoft is doing this as far as canceling games. They have 45 production studios, right? 45 studios worldwide, 20,000 employees. Okay. Why do you think stuff like this is happening right now for Ubisoft?
Well, if you the problem with the conversation like this is you have to put together all the pieces of the puzzle over the last few years. Remember what the CEO said, the owner said. He said that they were going to restructure the entire company. Then 3 or 4 months after that, they said that they were giving up on all games that didn't have any kind of a live service attached to it because they want reoccurring money. So now everything they're thinking about doing has either got a cash shop in it or live service attached to it. Those games in the past have been the hardest to come up with to actually make correct as they come out the door because of all the problems they have at launch. And they need a game to come out and launch well. Right. So you would think that they would launch a game as a game and then later on add a cash shop type of thing. And that way you can build upon it. But you have to remember in the old days, when somebody invested in a company, it was because you believed in the product that they made. And then once they made a good product, they would sell more of the product, the sales would go up, and the stock price would go up. Those days are over. People are now only buying stocks for the promise of something that may happen 18 months down the road, right? So a bunch of people bought a bunch of stock for Ubisoft when they figured out that they were making these games in the past for today, and today didn't pay out. Like today, they didn't get their stock bump that they wanted, and so now people who have invested in Ubisoft for the short-term gain,
Right.
and that's what it is, right? Decided to pull their money out and put their money someplace else for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole game. If your company doesn't sell product, then there's no point for me to invest in your company, right? You need to sell product for the company to be worth more. That's how a stock price goes up. The company's got to be worth more for the stock to go up. We play this game now where we think that, oh, this is going to be awesome, and so it's a premature bump that you think that the stock's going to do well, but you got to maintain those sales, right? If the stock price jumps up 15-20%, that means you're on a different level. Your company's stock now has to, this is where you have to sell all the time, and that's not what a game company is. A game company goes like this. Why do you think they constantly tell you when games are coming out? Because they want investors to dump money in, so they get a price bump.
Well, this is why they also said that they're investing into live service games, right? And this is why they're making the Assassin's Creed
reoccurring money,
right?
Yes.
This is why they're making the Assassin's Creed universe. This is why they're making the Division universe. This is why they're going to the big IPs like Avatar, the big IPs like Star Wars. They're keeping these games going. So all the games they're making are all live service games that are constantly for years to come, right? Years just keep
the good
going.
news is, the good news is if in actuality they are going the live service route, if that's really what they're doing, right? Then the initial sales of the game is only the beginning of the reoccurring revenue. So if you were to think that a game comes out and it does well, right? Then you can invest in the company because you know from here on out they're going to be getting more people and the reoccurring money, right?
Right.
You're not. I guess you could say it's a little safer for an investor once you know the game is good and then invest in the company if it has reoccurring revenue in the game, as opposed to listening to a promise of a game that's coming out, watching trailers for a game that came out 8 years ago that's supposed to come out. It never comes out, so you never get any sales. So what's my money doing just sitting there? It's your company's not making anything, right?
Right.
Your company needs to make something like this. And this goes to the conversation we had in the past, which was game companies now, once again, we are not selling a game. We are selling a platform that generates revenue. Right. So your belief is not in if the game is good. Your belief is in how long the game will be played for. Right. It could be a great game, but only 3 million people play it, but it plays for 9 years. Right. Like because of the reoccurring money, as opposed to I spend 6 years making a game. It does okay. We sell 6 million copies and then the game goes away. So in their eyes, they're like, this is just a waste of time. right? Why would I invest 6 years of my labor to make a game that may or may not make it? So when they said it out loud, they said that every game they make is going to be either live service or have a cash shop in the background. That's what they want to do.
That's why Skull and Bones is still getting produced and pushed out the door. So here's my next question. Krebsy actually already said it. He said, cut the fat to prepare to sell, right? Now, we've had conversations, I guess, 6, 8, 10 months ago, 12 months ago. We had a conversation. Who do we think is going to get sold? I think you picked Ubisoft, right? I think I picked Square Enix at the time, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and look, right? I did say Ubisoft will get sold, but I thought Square Enix would get sold off before Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft, do you think, if they do get sold, who do you think picks them up, Sarge? Do you think Sony picks them up? Do you think Microsoft picks them up? Obviously, I don't think Microsoft can pick them up right now because they have to wait for Activision to go through first.
After listening to the owner talk about the company passionately, it was like 6 months ago or 7 months ago, I don't think he wants to sell. I think currently, right now, there's a battle. There's a battle going on inside Ubisoft right now, whether or not they should sell or not. And if the answer is you want to be sold, you have to make your company look valuable in order to get the best price possible.
Correct. That's why they canceled all the games.
So the only way, but if canceling games means you're not going to have any revenue. So the only other way that you can increase your value is to get rid of labor. So either you have to make more products or you have to cut staff, right? Otherwise, what are you worth? That's the only ways you can justify how much you're worth, right? If they're in the red and you're not making anything, no one wants to buy you unless it's a fire sale and you just want to get the hell out.
No, I don't think it's a fire sale.
This is why I don't think they're on the chopping block just quite yet, because they want to make themselves valuable first, then sell. Nobody wants to sell half.
Well, Sony's in the market to get more games to be live service, right? They've said this in the beginning. Hence why
they all want it.
Well, no, this is why they picked up Bungie, and they have 12 games in the works that are all going to be live service games. Okay, Xbox, or I should say Microsoft, has Game Pass, and all their games are probably going to be more of a live service aspect because they want people to keep coming back for season passes and cosmetics and DLC. Ubisoft is already on Game Pass. Like, Assassin's Creeds are already on there. They keep adding more games to it left and right. I see Sony picking up. I could see Sony picking them up, right, to add to the repertoire of it. And I think if they did that, I see them making it exclusively for PlayStation, right? If Microsoft picks it up, I see them keeping it just as is and just adding it to Game Pass, right? And I think Ubisoft looks at this and goes, well, if we team up and go with the Xbox, Microsoft is going to pay us up front, right? So the company stays together as is. The money's up front for the games because Microsoft pays up front, whatever the deals are. And then they make the money on the back end, and they already know, because all the games that are selling for Ubisoft are selling like 6 million, 9 million copies. Okay. Yeah, sure, they're making $1 billion over the year, but with microtransactions. But if Microsoft can give them the money up front, and then they make the money on the back, and instantaneously they get 25, 30 million people that could download and play their games, that seems like a win-win situation, right? Because Microsoft is out saying, we're not going to cut off any games. We want the games to stay where they are. Now, I know it's different for Starfield and what it is for Call of Duty, but they're open to keeping it for everywhere, where PlayStation is like, we want to keep it in-house. We want to keep it the Final Fantasies and other games where we're not sharing the thing. So, I don't know. I can see it both going. Now, I can also see Tencent, because Tencent's interested in picking up European publishers, right? Because they can't buy anybody in their own country right now because China's not letting anyone buy anything right now. So the companies in their own country, they're looking to buy other things.
How many games are supposed to be coming out for Ubi this year?
4.
And when is the bulk of them coming out?
Probably. Well, I mean, Skull and Bones got pushed or bumped. It was supposed to come out early. Yeah. Then we have the Assassin's Creed game usually comes out around like October. You have Avatar coming out in like November, December, or August, September, October, whatever, around there. Okay. And then there's another unannounced game that we don't know about yet.
Okay. So my prediction is if those games come out during 2023's fiscal year,
which is up until March of 2024.
Which is right, which is March 24. I would say that once the deal closes with Activision Blizzard, if nothing else happens as far as mass layoffs for Ubi before the end of the year, I think I think Microsoft would be wanting to pick them up as well.
I don't think Microsoft's going to purchase them, though. I mean, obviously they could be talking in the background right now, but nothing will be said until that Activision deal goes through. And then when the fiscal year comes by this time next year, we'll hear that Microsoft's purchasing Ubisoft.
I mean, it would stand to reason, because think of the connection, right? The whole point of why Game Pass is so valuable to Microsoft is a game doesn't have to come out really good. It just has to come out decent,
right,
and they can fix it.
They'll fix it along the way.
But they are trading the initial sales of a game for the reoccurring spending of someone who's buying live service or a cash shop in the game.
Right.
So if Ubisoft's plan is to release nothing but games as a service or reoccurring spending attributes inside their games, then that's something that Microsoft would want immediately, because all that would do is reinforce the value of Game Pass and give them more platforms to make money on. That's exactly what they want.
Krebsy, I don't know if Embracer do. I think they do have the capital, because I think when I looked it up a couple days ago, Ubisoft I think is valued at like $3 billion, maybe $4 billion. So I think they do. I think Embracer Group could, but I don't think Embracer Group's going to pick them up. Embracer Groups likes to pick up smaller. This is 20,000 people, right? 45 studios across the globe and almost 21,000 employees. I don't think Embracer Group wants to pick up that, right? They're picking up studios that have like 100, 200. So I agree that I don't think Embracer Group will pick them up, not because they don't have the capital. I think they have the capital. I just don't think they pick it up because that's not who they're going for, right? We read a report last year or year before that Embracer Group was only picking up people between 100 and like 250 employees.
I don't think a lot of gaming companies right now have a lot of capital. The only ones that have a lot of capital are the big, huge boys like Microsoft.
Sure.
Right, because there's the economy right now. There's a whole lot to talk about that we're not going to get into. Right, people right now are about to tighten the belt really bad. Right, we're going to see in the next 3 months how the natural economy is going to move.
Right,
and at that point, you'll know which way the gaming market is going to move. We still have to wait for all the chips to come out at the end of this month. NVIDIA, and I forget who else is coming out with more new chipsets coming out for the PC at the end of this month, right? So those are coming out. It's going to be an adjustment there. Then we're going to see whether or not interest rates go up. People are going to start tightening the belt. We're going to see which way we go, right? Those who have money are not going to have a problem. They're going to keep on buying, but the rest of us, right? It's going to be a different story. We're going to see. We will see.
All right, the next story I want to talk about is, the Xbox Direct, right? The Xbox Direct that's coming out January 25th. There's going to be
legit.
Yeah, it's legit. It's official.
Legit minus Starfield.
Yeah, Starfield's not going to be there, right? And here's a conversation I want to have with this topic, Sarge. The other day I had a video that you could watch on this channel as well, right? And it's what is it, right? So I made a video of. There's a section from 3 years ago in an interview with Todd Howard in IGN. IGN was interviewing him, and during the interview, he said that he would love to make a game come out sooner, right? And when Fallout 4 came out, and he announced it, and then 5 months later, and he said it so proudly. He's like, it's 6 months, Robert. I forget what the guy's name is. And then Todd responded with, 5. Like, really, like, proud. He's like, 5. He's like, I would have went shorter. But that's the earliest they would have let me do it, okay? And then he asked him, well, how good? And he says, a week. Okay? He says, a week. But he says, don't hold me to that. But I heard that, and I was like, oh. And this is before Microsoft purchased them, right? Well, the Game Pass process is the perfect thing for him. Because think about this, right? Todd Howard said it's not how the game comes out, it's how... it down the road, how it finishes, right? And the way they did their launch with Fallout 76 coming out and broke and buggy and they fixed it, it's actually a pretty good game now, 4 years later. But I'm not saying Starfield's going to be like Fallout 76. But what I am saying is he said a week. And when he said a week, I said, what about if he does that for Starfield? Because he said in his 3 years, this is before Starfield was even in talks, right? Even though it's been in development, I think 3 years at the time. It's been 6 years, 7 years at the time now. He said, wouldn't it be cool if you start talking about the game and hyping it up and then drop it like on a Tuesday, right? And I was like, holy Christ. We're talking about where the game's going to get delayed again and it's not coming out till November, right? That's what we said. We're on record saying that, okay?
Well, we said that based on the information that we're given because Redfall is going to come out first.
Correct. Based on Redfall coming out first. Now, Redfall got a 6-week delay, and it's pushing back to May, the beginning of May. Now, Mo the other day came in channel and said, what if the statement that Matt Booty said was before the delay of Redfall, meaning Redfall's coming out before Starfield. But now that Redfall is delayed 6 weeks, what if Starfield now leapfrogs, okay? Because let's say Redfall was supposed to come out
May.
Well, let's say May was supposed to... May is Redfall now. Jesus Christ, I lost my voice. Speak for a second.
We're going by what they said. So what you're telling me is you believe that the great Jehovah will bless us with Starfield in May.
Well, I'm not saying he's blessing us, and I'm just giving another like vision here, okay? The vision I'm seeing is that, let's say it was supposed to come out at the end of March, Redfall, and then Starfield was supposed to come out April, like the second week of April, third week of April, whatever it is. It gives like a month and a half between the two. But now it got delayed 6 weeks. But now Starfield was supposed to come out after Redfall, but now it's before Redfall, okay? It's not showing up at this event on January, and they did say they might have events like this every month, okay, or every once a quarter or whatnot. So who's to say that Todd Howard, in his crazy mind, okay, does what he said 3 years ago in this interview, where he comes out on a Monday or Tuesday and says, hey, here's Starfield, this is what it is. Oh, and by the way, boom, you can have it on Friday or Thursday, right? So
all right, so what you're saying is E3.
No, before E3.
Right. He announces it E3.
No, he's going to announce it before E3, just on a random day. And then it's just going to drop. And hear me out. Right now, Microsoft wants people to sign up for Game Pass, right? And everyone's
no kidding.
And everybody's waiting to see what the game is. And they're like, as soon as they hear that date of Starfield, and they're like, Starfield comes out June 1st, let's say, right? June 30th. And everyone's like, okay, cool. I have 5 months to wait to not buy Game Pass until Starfield comes out, right? Nobody's hyped. It's kind of just like whatever. We know June 30th, that's when it's coming out. But Todd says April 1st. Let's just say April 1st, right? Because it'll be a good time. And he says it's coming out on Friday or whatever. Everyone's like, what? Starfield's coming out. People would just buy Game Pass right then and there just to play the game, right?
So what? So then why? What do you think would be the why wouldn't you think he would do something like that? Just to get people to buy Game Pass and then delay the game.
Yeah, but think about this.
And then delay the game. Well, you get a bunch of people to sign up for Game Pass, and then you delay the game.
You don't want to delay the game, but what I'm saying, no, you don't have to delay the game. Look at Fallout 76. He didn't delay that game. He just put it out there and it's in its rough state and was like, yeah, have fun with it. Okay. What I'm saying is that he drops this, and it doesn't matter because they're not selling the game. They're not selling the game. Starfield's gonna make like $0, okay? Someone might buy the collector's edition because they get a space helmet and a ship on their desk, right? Okay, or they get a canvas bag or something, okay? But other than that, people are not going to go out and spend $70 on Starfield, right? They're going to spend the $1 that they've never spent before on the Game Pass. Or waiting, they're like, I'm going to spend $1, get 2 months free or whatever it is to get Game Pass, and then play the game, right? Starfield is not going to be on any list of sales of actual copies. They're going to be up there for how many players are playing. Right. It's got 10 million people, 30 million people playing.
It's an anti-hype release. It's weird. How do you get hype for a game that's going to have 0 sales?
No sales. It's
right?
all
It doesn't.
it's not
right.
sales.
It's the game.
The
game's popularity is going to be
right. If you're a person buying
based
this
on
game,
population only.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. The only hype for this game is based on the population who's playing it, not for the number of sales. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Didn't they say Starfield will have its own showcase? Yes, that's my point, right? That's my point, D-Tom, right? Like, they're skipping this one out. There's going to be a standalone one after, by itself. That would be the perfect time to be like, yeah, and here's everything you could do in the game. It's got 1,000 planets. This is what it is. And oh, by the way, you could download it
Fallout 5
right now. Right, you can download it right now.
No, Fallout 5.
Yeah.
And by the way, Fallout 5. Like that. Like that's a mic drop.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. There's no
Smash.
reason.
Smash. Nobody's gonna buy it.
Right. No one's buying the game.
You don't have to buy it. This is what we're saying. Like you're hyped for a game that's basically gonna be on everyone's hard drive before the game even comes out.
Right.
Like it's I no lines, no nothing. It's whoever has Game Pass gets it.
Why pay $70 when you can play for $10? Right.
Right.
Less than that.
Right.
Some people get it for $1.
This is what we're saying. This is why it's weird. It's weird to think that probably one of the greatest, if the game does well, one of the greatest selling Bethesda games ever won't be sales. They won't track sales. It'll be based on how many people are playing it.
Now I want to talk about the developer direct itself. They've already stated that there's going to be Elder Scrolls Online talk, there's Forza Motorsports talk, there's Minecraft Legends talk, and there's Redfall talk. Okay. It says that ESO has been working on a game that we didn't know for 5 years, Sarge. Elder Scrolls Online, the developers, ZeniMax Studios, have been working on a secret game for 5 years, and perhaps we'll see something about that at the conference, right? Yeah. Okay. Some people, I think, was it Jesse who said this? I don't want to take credit for it because it's not me. Someone told me in chat the other day, was it Big T? I forget who it was, that there was talks of that Elder Scrolls Online ZeniMax Studios was working on the MMO version of Starfield, right? Like not a separate game, the other part that's part of the game, right? And I still think to this day that Starfield is going to be like Fallout 76 as this. Game's going to come out. It's going to be out for 1 year. You're going to be lonely and only playing by yourself for 1 year in this game. Okay? You're gonna play with the story. You're gonna explore the planets. There's gonna be 1,000 planets for you to do nothing on. Okay? You can go do that by yourself. 1 year after, they're gonna have an update. And they're gonna introduce multiplayer into Starfield. They're going to put a story.
And that's why they practiced on 76.
Yes. They're going to put a story in there and add it on. And then it's going to be like No Man's Sky did, where all of a sudden, now you can play with your friends. And now there's going to be a thing. And now there's going to be... That's what I believe. Because there's no way you would play 1,000 planets in a game by yourself to sit there and do nothing, right? No microtransactions to sell you, right? There's nothing there to sell you, right? They're going to sell you stuff. Todd Howard himself said there's people still playing Skyrim, still playing Fallout 4, and we have no engagement with them whatsoever because they're just playing that game 12 years later. Okay?
Yeah, there would be engagement if you sold us DLC. Right. I'm tired of hearing that from Todd, where he thinks that because someone plays a game that's 12 years old and they're not making money off of them still, then that's a problem, right? You change the format. You change the way that games are being released. If you would make a DLC, we would buy it, right? You would make a continuing story and stuff to add on to a game, you would buy it. But you guys don't think it's cost effective because it's easier to release horse armor and other BS in the game for us to buy all the time than it is to actually make content for the game that you think we're playing too much.
Right. Gaming Fire asks, are you going to play Starfield? Of course. Of course,
I don't have a choice.
Right?
I don't have a choice. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah,
it's there.
It's on Game Pass. Of course I'm going to play it.
There.
Right? I'm not spending any money. I already pay for the service. Of course I'm going to play Starfield. That's the whole point of this Hobbit conversation. No one's buying Starfield. No one's buying Redfall. No one's buying Minecraft Legends. No one's buying Forza Motorsports. No one's buying any of these games. They're just handing them to you so you can play them on Game Pass. They just want your 10. They just want your 15. They just want your 25, whatever your family plan is. That's all they want. They want the recurring payment every single month. They don't care if you come back and play a game or not. They just want your $15. You make a stinger for Game Pass.
Weird.
I will.
Weird.
I will. I'm actually going to make an emote on Game Pass. It's going to be an emote, and we'll do a stinger. And I'll hit a button, and it's going to slab. It's on Game Pass, okay? Because that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's on Game Pass. If you don't try it, and you pay for Game Pass, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. You're like, I'll try it out.
Yeah, but Cujo, I get what you're saying, but think about it. Think about the number of people who have an Xbox but don't have Game Pass, or have a PC and don't have Game Pass. And now here comes this game that may or may not succeed at all. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. So would you rather pay $70 for the I don't know, or pay $1 for the first 3 months, or $10 a month to see if the game's worth it?
Right. Why? Okay, let me ask this, Cujo. Why would you buy the game? And if the answer is to support the developers, okay, that's not the answer, because Game Pass is supporting the developers. It's all part of the Microsoft ecosystem, right? So if you own Game Pass, if you don't have Game Pass, you're buying the game, okay? But if you have Game Pass, why would you decide to spend more money for the same game that you already have on your system day one?
$300 million a month. $300 million a month just to chill out. We're chilling, bro. Just here's what you should do. Every time the first show of the new month comes, whatever the first show we do, you should have a little bell and just go ding, 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 ding. Microsoft just collected another $300 million. Because every month they're just collecting it. Cool.
Right.
We're good.
Cujo says, in fact, I point to the High on Life dev interview. The game has done extremely well. What's extremely well? Did they tell you sales? Did they give you sales numbers? Or did they tell you that Microsoft paid a shit ton of money up front for that game to be on Game Pass, right? Because that's extremely well, right? When you can make what you wanted to make day one as a developer, you make a game, and the company says, we'll give you, I don't know what the deal is, we'll give you $10 million. And they're like, okay. $10 million up front, and then you get advertisement or whatever, and then when it goes to other systems, people buy it. Okay?
It's just weird. It's weird looking at this and thinking that this game is going to succeed or fail based on sales.
Right.
Right? It's a captive audience. The people who have Game Pass right now will just have it. They'll just have it. Right. So the only people you're worried about are people who don't have Game Pass. And if the game is in such turmoil that we all keep talking about, why would you pay $70 for it when you just go out and buy Game Pass for a couple months?
Right.
Right. This is gonna be the strangest. It's gonna be the strangest release for a game, because it's gonna be really anticipated, and there's not going to be any sales data because people are already captive in the system.
Right.
It's weird.
So to answer your question, do you think Starfield's player count will overshadow Redfall's player count? Well, to be fair, Unpacking, Starfield, Redfall, a game that the dungeon crawler, whatever, okay, they all have the exact same stat from the very start. They all have the potential of getting 30 million people to play the game day one without doing anything. They're on Game Pass, so everybody that has Game Pass can potentially try that game out. Now, obviously, if you're not a dungeon crawler fan, or if you're not an RPG fan, you're probably not going to do it. So your percentages go lower and lower, right? But off of Game Pass, off of Xbox's numbers, I think they said 60% of people that have Game Pass have tried games that they've never tried before. 40% of people are playing more games. All right, 60% are trying different games. 40% are playing more games than they would have in the past because they're not paying $60 for each individual thing. So each game from the start has potentially 30 million people, as we know, okay, that potentially could get their game. So their player count is, if I log in and I hit download, right, and I log in for 30 seconds, or if I play for 10 hours, you're considered a person that downloaded the game and that you're a player. So they can use it in advertisement and go, 5 million people, played. Right. 12 million people played. So potentially you could have the same, right? Redfall could have a bigger player base, could have a less of a player base.
Those are bad numbers though, bro, because they can, everything will sound amazing. Right? Everything will sound amazing because as long as you downloaded it one time, they can use you as a statistical thing that says you played. Right? Sure. So whatever number of people, the numbers are always big because the number it's on Game Pass.
Right.
5 million people played.
Yeah, to answer that, I got it. Cujo, they said like 30% more buy more games. Well, also if you have Game Pass, you also get a discount. Okay. You also get a discount for buying games. So why would you pay for $70 Starfield when you already have Game Pass when you can get a discount on the game to buy it?
This is going to be very, very
just remember,
interesting.
All the games are digital. All the games are digital. And remember, there's more Xbox Series S's out there than X's out there.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Which have no disc whatsoever. So all the people that get that game don't have a disc drive, so they're not buying a hard copy of the game. They're buying a digital game. And if you're buying a digital game, you're owning a game that you actually don't own. So why even buy the game in the first place? Just rent Game Pass and get the game, right?
Right. This is gonna be a very strange. I think this might be one of the strangest releases. I think this release of Starfield is going to set some kind of strange precedent that we don't know yet because of the fact of how it's positioned.
Yeah.
On how it's positioned, it's going to be very interesting.
I think it'll get a lot of people downloaded. I think they'll have I think they'll tell you 15 million people, 20 million people. They do that right now with Sea of Thieves. 15 million people played the game. They did it with what's the other game? It's another smaller game that got a lot of views or a lot of play. Even when you look up the numbers online, there's a little quotation next to it, right? Like you see the top selling games of all time, and then all of a sudden, halfway down the list for the newer games, it goes of players, not people. Battlefield, when we looked up Battlefield, right? Up until Battlefield 5, everything was sales of actual game. Battlefield 5, the number's 25 million people, okay? But it's players, not sales. Players, okay? They've converted it into, well, there's 25 million people playing, so it must be a great game, right? That's what they do instead of how many sales, how many people tried it, how many people tried it.
Right.
So
it's gonna be weird now. Yep.
Redfall. Okay, Redfall is out, coming out.
Can we just call it Vampire Far Cry? Can we just call it that?
No, see, I think when they came out and said it's Far Cry, I think that's a false thing because in the same article that they said it's Far Cry, when you think Far Cry, what do you think?
When I think a super open world.
Super open world. In the same article, they said, well, it's not as big as Far Cry. It's a smaller island, but it's like Far Cry. It's like, well, hold up a second. If Far Cry is 10 miles wide and you're saying it's like Far Cry, I'm thinking, okay, it's like 10 miles wide. But now it's like 4 miles. And you're like, well, no, it's open-esque and you're going around type of thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's smaller. I don't care how big the map is.
Mini Vampire Far Cry.
Right. I still think it looks more like Back 4 Blood. Okay. Here's a couple things that are bad for the game. When it came out, I first said it's kind of stupid the way you play co-op because co-op, it doesn't save your progression, right? So if I'm the host and you're the player that comes into my game, right, you don't get to keep your progression of the story, meaning you have to play the story by yourself first. Play it first, get it done with the game, and then you can join me, and then we can go through the game together type of thing, right?
Right.
That's a dumb mechanic. Okay, I said that when they first announced it 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, when they first showed it to us and said something.
Maybe they want you to learn the game first.
Whatever. Second, the game itself, I think, is going to have an identity crisis of what type of game it is, because I think people think it's going to be like a Far Cry now, but you're going to be in. It's a co-op game, right? And it's a co-op game, but it's a single player game. But on their own site, it says it's a co-op game. Well, if it's a co-op game, then it says you can do. It says to play different characters so you can have synergy with the group of characters. But it's going to be weird, Sarge. If I, let's say, have 8 hours to play the game a week, okay, and you have 4 hours to play a week, and my 8 hours line up with a couple of your hours, but not all your hours. So now we're playing together. I join your game. I play for 3 hours in your game, right? You're off from work. I'm like, hey, it's let's play. I play the game with you. We go through the story. You're the host. Your progression continues with your character. My character comes in for 3 hours, and now you're off. I call you the next day, and you're like, nah, sorry, bro, I'm working. And I'm like, all right, I'll continue the story. Now I have to spend 3 hours again in my own game to play through the story that I just went through with you.
Rule number 2, respect the player's time.
Right. I'm turning off the game. I'm turning off the game and going, no, I'll just wait till you're back. Let me know when you're ready. And then by that time, you're like, oh, well, when I was ready to play, you were working. And so I played another 2 hours. Now I join your game. Now I missed like the middle section of where the story is, right?
Yep.
And now it's just a cluster. It's a cluster.
It's dumb.
Right. So that's one problem. The second problem with Redfall, I don't know if there's going to be enough replayability, right? Yes, there's a system in the game where you're getting materials, I think, and like leveling up your guns, but overall, let me see what it says here in Redfall. I have a story here real fast. Let me see if I can find it. Where the hell is it? That's Gears of War. That's Microsoft. I had a story for Redfall, and now I can't find it. Probably close it down. Oh, here it is. So Redfall, okay, it says play space is unfathomably large. Unfathomable. Okay.
Well, I can fathom Far Cry. So what are you talking about?
Right. There's a home base where you can talk to NPCs. There's side quests, there's main quests, and open free roam. Okay. Use environmental hazards against enemies and assistance from ID software. Okay. So this game, I feel like, is just a mediocre game. I feel like this is a AA game being disguised as a AAA game. And yeah,
it gets the fond seal of approval.
Yeah,
it's a AA game,
yeah,
right?
AA. Yeah. So I don't think that the game itself is going to. Look, it looks great. I think it looks visually, it looks good. I think it'll be a fun game.
I think we need to use that for our scoring.
What?
I think the Fonz is the score.
The Fonz of approval.
Yeah. Yep. I think that we got to use that.
Okay. So I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a shorter game. I think the dumb parts, and people are going to push back on this, is that your first playthrough, even though it's a co-op game, okay, you're going to have to play solo. You got to play by yourself to get it through your one character, at least one character. And then when you go through the story the second time, third time, fourth time with the other characters, you have to play with somebody.
If the combat and the abilities are cool to fight against vampires, like I get the cool factor in that. You have to feel vulnerable and weak, but have some cool moves that allow you to kill the vampire. If that game loop can be harnessed properly within a co-op environment, the game will do well. But just because you're throwing vampires out there, I see a whole different level of stuff, right? You can't use normal weapons. I understand that you have the state gun and the ultraviolet gun. I know. I saw the trailers, but at the same time, like, is that co-op vampire game loop sustainable? That's going to be the trick. Like if I use other games like it, to put an example, like if we're wandering through a town together, and all of a sudden it's a random mini boss vampire that appears, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it has to have a activities in the game that keep things kind of spicy, as opposed to go to A to B, go B to C, go and do a strike or do whatever. Like, I'm hoping that the game loop is solid.
This game,
it's important.
It's a Game Pass game, right? And I think this game lives or dies on the continuation with the game. Once you play it with the 4 characters, maybe once or twice a year they add a new character, add a new area, add something new, more story mode, something. Because if this is a play the game, it's going to be like maybe 15 hours, maybe 20 hours, right? I would think. You play through the game, once. If it's enjoyable, you'll try another character. If it's not enjoyable, you're done. You put the game down and you move on. And I don't think that's what Arcane wanted to make. I don't think that's what Microsoft wanted them to make. I think because it's on Game Pass, it's a first-party title game, right? I think that this game needs to be some sort of like a State of Decay. They keep updating State of Decay. They keep putting stuff out there. Obviously, this is not zombies. This is vampires. It's a little different, but I still think it's the same feeling.
But not by much.
I hope it does well. We're gonna try it. Why, guys? Let's say it with me. It's on Game Pass. All right, so we're gonna play it. Right? I make fun of Game Pass, but I truly love Game Pass for the value it saves me, and plus my son downloads games left and right and then just deletes them because if I bought every single game that he wanted, I would be broke. All right, so that's Redfall. Forza Motorsports coming out, and Minecraft Legends. I need to see more from Minecraft Legends. I'm not really diving into that too much. Another big story I want to talk about for Xbox and Microsoft is that Xbox Series X consoles are reportedly outselling the Xbox One lifetime sales by a significant amount. Now, the industrial analysts have reported that Xbox Series X and S outsold the lifetime sales of Xbox One in almost 3 times in Japan. Now, this is a big story for Microsoft.
That's a big story for Japan.
Well, for Microsoft in Japan. They've been trying to break into this market for years and years and years, and all of a sudden, now they're selling a lot more consoles, so much so that down here it says that the industrial analysts reported that Twitter that combined the sales of the Xbox Series X and S in Japan have amounted up to 400,000 units, with 227,000 being for the Series S and the 173,000 of the Series X. He also points out that while it's about 3 times more than the 140 million units sold of Xbox One sold over its complete lifetime, right? So this has only been out for two years, and they've already tripled of what the sales were. Almost 3 times the size of the sales of the Xbox One. Now, Microsoft current systems are still far behind the Xbox 360 since it sold 1.61 million during the generation. I think that's supposed to be billion, not a million. No, that can't be. 1.6 million? They already... Oh, never mind. 1.61 million, yeah. And they've sold 400,000 units so far. So, good news for Microsoft, right? They finally kind of broke into the market.
It's a big deal for Japan. A lot of the Japanese didn't like Xbox at all.
Right.
I'm curious to know whether or not they have the statistical data. Is that the reason why that more people play Xbox over there now is because of Game Pass?
That's true. Like, look,
it's certainly not because of the first person titles.
Times are hard, right? Times are hard. People are making less.
Japan's going through some shit right now.
And the Series S is cheap, man. It's cheap. This is why I keep talking about if they come out with that thumbstick, right, and they sell it for $100, they're selling those things like hotcakes. Okay, I think people get it because of Game Pass and because of, if you buy a Series S, which it almost is like 2 to 1, right? What does it say here again? It says 227,000 to 173,000. So it's not quite 2 to 1, right? But still, 227,000 units of the S is sold, that's a Game Pass system. Right, the S is a Game Pass system. Even though you can go out and buy digital copies, the S is a Game Pass system. So, let me go to the next thing. Microsoft runs a pro-union ad to push the acquired Activision Blizzard. Right, so from the sales over in Japan, Microsoft goes into pushing because of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has taken a huge advertisement in the newspaper of Washington Post advocating for its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. One of the few major public moves of the company's support proposed the acquisition is the last month curiosity of the ad is endorsement by both Microsoft and massive communication workers of the American Union, or the CWA. Now, highlighting Microsoft's past year of public maneuvers in favor of labor rights and the rights to employees to form unions. It's marked the alignment to give Microsoft just worked alongside the CWA to recognition and massive union forming that it's at ZeniMax Studios. It's part of the pattern that Microsoft is being very publicly open to union formation, also as the direct response to Activision Blizzard's own behavior. So right now they're playing the marketing game, right? They're being sued. They're in court. They're trying to get Activision Blizzard to go through. So they're trying to play the good guys here, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're for the union, and obviously all this stuff. So this is more of a what's the goodwill? I guess they're running for office right now, right? They're holding babies and shaking hands. This is what they're doing right now. Is that what you get from this, Sarge, or did you get it from that more?
It's correct. Anything to look good in the eyes of the public.
Yeah, we save sick puppies, Krebsy. Right, exactly.
Right. If you say you're pro union and people back you a little bit more, listen. It doesn't. Listen, we already discussed this multiple times. It doesn't matter what they say. They're not going to have enough evidence to say that this deal is going to be a wash. The deal is going to go through. They're going to have to pay a little bit more money for lawyers and whatnot, but it's going to go through.
Right. Next up, real quick story is that everyone's waiting for this game, Sarge. Gears of War, the card game. Rumors are true. Be ready for Gears of War, the card game deploys in 2023. The hell are we talking about here?
We're talking about I'll be honest with you, a dead game.
a card game.
I want to know what the deal is with card games. I want to know why they think that all these card games, as long as you throw an IP on top of them, it's supposed to be awesome. Right? And let me ask you this question. Is it on my phone as an app or as an actual card game like Magic?
There's no information on it. That's it. What you see on the screen is what you get.
I'm not interested, Ren.
Gears of War, though, Sarge.
I'm not even interested in
Gears of War.
I'm not even interested in another Gears of War game.
Did you play the last one?
A card game.
Did you play the last one? The more open world-esque type of one? It was more like God of War.
I don't remember. I gotta be honest, I don't remember. Is it the one where you're on the ski?
Yes.
The ski thing?
Yeah, the skis in the open world, driving around.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I want to talk about, Sarge, is
for real though, a card game?
A card game, yeah. The next one, this is going to bring up something here, right? So Sony owns a patent, Sarge, that would force viewers to yell out brand names during commercials to end them. Okay, so for instance, you're watching a TV commercial. Yeah. Okay, you have a Sony television, and a McDonald's commercial comes on, but you don't want to watch the McDonald's commercial, so you have to scream out its name, McDonald's, and then it ends the commercial.
This is dumb. This is so dumb. That's for real?
This is a patent for real. Yes.
So, well, let me ask you a question. Why is it the fact that I can't stop the commercial not patented, but the fact that I'm going to yell something at the TV to stop the commercial is patented? How does that work?
Well, at this point, I think it's more like a video game, right? So it wants you to interact with it to know that you're watching. Because right now, they don't know if you've seen the
bots. You're talking about for bots.
You're not interacting.
This is the battle bots. I get it.
You're not interacting with the commercials right now.
Oh, God, it just came to my head. That's why.
Right? You're not interacting with the commercial because you're not... They don't know if you're watching it, but if you see the brand and then say the name, they know you're watching it. So it's a win-win situation for them because, one, if you don't say anything, then you're watching the commercial. But if you answer and say the brand, then they know you've acknowledged what the commercial is, right? And then you can stop the commercial. So it checks you off as a person that actually interacted with the commercial.
It's just creepy. I'm not going to be yelling at my TV, man.
Oh, you are.
I do that now, but not to skip commercials.
Right. It's like a game show. You'll be sitting there watching the show. And you'll be like, Burger King, KFC. And then your wife walks in and is like, what the heck?
What are you screaming at?
Gucci. Hey, you're just screaming commercials out, right? And you'd be like, guess. Guess, and you'd be like, "What? Guess what? No, the commercial's guess." And you're screaming at your
This is gonna be horrible.
Can you imagine? Just think about this, Sarge. Can you imagine our father watching a commercial and then sitting there and he can't pronounce it correctly, and that the commercial is still
goes on
playing
forever? It just goes on forever. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It just keeps playing the commercial. It's like son of a bitch. I can't. Michael. You won't know how to say the name or something. It'll be fantastic. Good stuff. The next
yelling at the TV to skip commercials.
Yeah, you gotta yell at to skip it. Yeah. Geico.
Then people would just have a program that recognizes commercials and says it for you, right? Just like you're gonna play the game for me, right?
Right. Pretty soon.
So wait, so Sony has the patent for the game to play itself, and for
screaming
you
at
have to
television.
yell at the screen.
Yeah. So think about this: because you're not playing the game anymore, Sarge, you could watch more commercials, and then you have to interact with the commercials.
Right. The AI is just playing the game for me.
I just snorted.
It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
So ridiculous. It's getting bad. All right. So the next thing, Sarge, Google confirms the exact shutdown time for Stadia. Okay, the end of Stadia.
Is there a countdown clock?
The end of Stadia is coming soon.
I'm gonna have a party
as Google reveals the precise time of streaming service permanently exits from the gaming world. Okay, the closure of Stadia, which was made public late last year, caught many people off guard, and it didn't. Did it? Right, because of the great deal. Dissatisfaction of Stadia has never been a huge hit with gamers, as it was plagued by a lot of problems such as connection issues, weak marketing, and the lack of AAA games. Those issues, coupled with the poor sales, caused Google to officially pull the plug on the creation. So Google has specifically that Stadia will permanently shut down on all services on January 18th of this year. Oh, hold on. Abe's calling in. Abe, what can I help you with? What can I... Oh, you've been vagoted. I'm sorry, Stadia. I'm so sorry, Stadia. You were with us for a bit. So Stadia is no longer with us. Salute. Pour one out for Stadia.
So what, you're talking about like in 6 days?
Yeah. January 18th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. Okay, if you're playing a Stadia,
I deactivated myself.
I've deactivated myself.
I'm deactivating
it's over.
myself.
So Google will also offer automatic refunds for any purchased games of content from the Stadia store other than the Stadia Pro subscription. All Stadia hardware purchases are also eligible for a refund as long as if they were brought from the Google store. And by the middle of January 2023, they plan to complete the majority of the reimbursements. The Stadia cloud gaming platform initially appeared as a full promise when it was the first introduced in 2019. So yeah, I just want to say there was I said this a couple months ago. There was a person on the show on other podcasts that we used to do. I was a guest on the podcast. Okay. And he came on and he was so excited the day Stadia came out. And I said, that won't last 2 years. And I was wrong. It lasted 3 years. And it's gone. I said this system will not last 2 years. And technically it came out like mid 2019, so 2021. Yeah, so it lasted 3 years. So, but yeah, so Stadia is gone. I'm sorry. The Destiny community is going to be really shaken by this because I think the 5 people that were playing what was that game? What was the game that the guy was playing? Oh, was it Babylon 5? Not Babylon 5. Babylon Fall. The guy from Fall? Yeah, the one guy was playing.
He wants to train. He's been playing it for so long.
Oh no, that was that was Red Dead Redemption. The guy on Red Dead Redemption had 6,000 hours on Stadia. Yes, right. 6,000 hours. That's what it was. Guys, make sure you submit your questions. Make sure you submit your questions over in the what's it called? Make sure you submit your questions for the questions section of the show. And also, if you're watching this and you've been here for the entire show, hit that like button. It helps us out. I see the like button's a little low compared to the viewership. All you have to do is hit that like button. You don't have to talk in chat. You can be a lurker, but helping us by hitting that like button helps us out. The next one up, Sarge, is the Saudi Arabians have purchased more stock in Nintendo shares. Okay, the Saudi Arabia is set to become the 5th largest holder of Nintendo shares after increasing the investments in the company to over 6%. Okay, Saudi Arabia now owns 6.07% of Nintendo after the country's public investment fund increased the stake of Japanese company in a filing on Thursday. This is a 1% increase from its last May when it was also PIF announced that it had bought up to 501% of Nintendo shares to add to its growing portfolio of international investments. Now, I totally forgot to bring this up when for Ubisoft, but the Saudi Arabians could potentially buy Ubisoft, right? Like the government of Saudi Arabia, the country could purchase because they're looking for different things. Saudi Arabia, I believe, just purchased or is going to purchase WWE wrestling from Vince McMahon as well. So they're out there buying a lot of stuff.
That's also weird.
Do you know why they're doing this? I guarantee you they're going to buy the wrestling and put it in their city that no one's going to, so they can get people to come over there to not see wrestling, right? It's basically use WWE to advertise for the city that no one's going to. I bet you that's what it is.
I mean, I guess they see what Nintendo's slate of games are going to be, so the stock should be going up. But
all that oil, Krebsy says.
Well, like they build cities in the middle of a desert. They're building a giant line city in the middle of the desert.
Well,
like it's,
right.
all this crazy stuff that they're doing to try to jumpstart an economy. Because once you got to think of it this way: once the oil's gone, what else do they have?
Well, that's why I buy gas at the gas station, Sarge, because I want to invest in the developers of Nintendo's stock share. Right, so I want to buy oil. That's why I buy gas, so I can help Nintendo and the devs out there.
I mean, Nintendo, I think, is the solid investment because of what they have.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that they're buying.
Well, they're not investing in Microsoft or Sony. So,
all right, we got
maybe they know something.
We got two quick stories. We got Apple. Rumor mill. Take it with a grain of salt. Apple reportedly releasing a AR/VR headset in the fall. Right, so Apple's getting into
both together.
AR VR, right? Right, so you can use it as VR and you can use it as AR. So basically, my question is, Sarge, do you think this will be better than AR or VR? Because this is AR VR, right? It's one thing that does both. So do you think Apple will beat everybody else that's been trying to do something, right? Because they have the VR headsets for years. Do you think Apple comes in? They didn't make the phone, but they fixed the phone. Right? So are they going to fix the VR headset?
I still think the R&D department is working on how people perceive the photos in the goggles. Once they have it down to where the type of projection that's being shown causes fewer people to have dizziness, vertigo, like once they figure out what to do in that aspect, then VR will take off. Like that's the deciding factor. The number of people that can't handle it because of being dizzy and all kinds of stuff, that's the deciding factor.
Yeah, I think
once they figure out what it is they got to do with that pair of goggles, that will be the next stage of gaming for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I no matter who makes a headset, whoever does whatever, until we get like neuro implants and people are like born with this stuff, you're always going to have this gap of people get sick or nauseous, or there's either the price gap, there's either the I don't know if I'm going to like it because I can't afford it gap, right? Or
I'll tell you,
the people that just don't want to wear stuff on their face.
All right, so I'll use an experience from my childhood, right? When we were kids, we would have toy guns, and we would pretend there'd be dinosaurs running around the neighborhood, and we'd have to go and shoot them.
Right.
And they were chasing us, right? I think the step in the right direction for AR, like a legit step in the right direction, is to be able to put your phone and attach it to a gun, right? Like where the scope is, and you're walking
pretty much
around.
Do that now.
You can, and actually see the stuff that's there, that's not there, like in your imagination would be, and you get to shoot it. And you get to shoot the stuff that you think is there. Like that's the step in for the AR thing.
Yeah, I think this is like Ready Player One type of thing, right? If you have this here's what it looks like, by the way.
It's just like the catch the Pokemon thing, right? That's the original one. You see the Pokemon on the screen, you catch him.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the middle of my yard. Same thing. I get to run around with a gun looking at my phone. the phone is in front of you.
I think the difference though
right?
is with the phone, I got to hold it up in front of me, and then you
don't got to hold it.
Right.
Is attached to the gun.
No, I understand that, but you're looking through your camera of the phone. With the AR glasses, it's just like you're putting glasses on, and then you can just see the world with dinosaurs running around you, right? Now you see kids in the park, and they're like, ah! They're just like running around the park.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. D-Tom says, no, because my AirPods can't even connect reliable. Jesse Max says, I laugh when Apple beat out Sony one day. I will laugh. I mean, there'll be one day that there was rumors like 4 years ago that Apple was going to straight up buy Sony. Sony was so close to becoming bankrupt at one point that they decided they were going to sell it off and Apple was going to buy them. But then they got turned around because Xbox sucked balls and Sony made PlayStation and like made a better system, and they made a crap ton of money, right? And that's exactly why Sony got saved, basically. Yeah. So their TV sales were back. They were losing market share and everything. So because Samsung's number 1, LG's number 3, Sony's number 2 in the television market. So yeah, so that's the AR stuff. The last thing, Sarge, if you could give us a synopsis of what's happening, right, with Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Well, you should really look it up. I'll just give you the
give us the
yeah. All right, so back in 2010, okay, Wizards of the Coast came up with a new licensing that allowed third-party people to make content for Dungeons and Dragons that could be sold, right? That's basically what it was. So people were making modules, they come out with things, and there was a license agreement of what you could and could not make. Currently, right now, apparently, whoever the new leader of Hasbro is and the new guy in charge of Wizards of the Coast have decided that they are not monetizing D&D enough, right? And I think this stems from the 2 years of the COOF. And what ended up happening is all these people decided to play and they saw these giant gains in revenue. And then when life went back to normal, all those people went away. Instead of trying to cultivate those people and make it something that's actually fun to do maybe once or twice a month, that you lost those people back to reality because they had to go back to work, they had to go back to other things. And so now they're mad because they can't do exponential growth forever, and that's normal. Right. And so now all of a sudden it's the day of reckoning. The new licensing agreement basically states that if you make any content based off of our IP, number 1, I can take it from you, kick you out of your own license, and then start selling your product as it was my own.
Right.
Right. Then I can also
sounds like
change
some Activision
the contract.
Shit.
Right. Also, I can change the contract at any time. And so basically what the third-party people are now doing is they got wind of this. Wizards hasn't said anything. They haven't even released it yet, but it leaked.
It leaked out.
And so everyone's like, well, if that's the way you feel about it, then everyone will now just make up their own game, right? Like legit just make up their own game with their own rules.
Right.
And then you won't make a dime off anything because they wanted like a 25% cut of whatever you made, like period. Like for instance, let's say you had a Kickstarter going for a module that you were making, right? So let's say you made $800,000 for Kickstarter, right? So let's say you didn't break even, like whatever it cost you to make it, you didn't break even. Doesn't matter. You owe on the $800,000 to Wizards of the Coast, even though you didn't make enough money to supply the actual product.
Right.
Like it's bizarro world. If anybody wants to know about it, you should really read into it a little bit more. It's crazy right now. So right now, basically D&D is blowing themselves up because if they lose all the third-party people who have made the modules all this time, then no one wants to play. Nobody cares about D&D anymore. The issue is that actual Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast don't make shit. You've had the IP for years. You're selling all this product, all the little miniatures you sell in the stores, all the other. you guys don't do anything. Like, you don't write a book, you don't make a mod, you let everybody else do it because you don't feel like doing it. And now you want to collect on everybody that's made everything in the last 10 years. Like, so people have to destroy their own channels, have to just blow up their own, like nobody wants to talk about D&D anymore. Like, you basically are going to implode. It's the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a while.
They basically
and it hasn't released yet. Yeah, but it hasn't released yet. The actual document hasn't released yet. They delayed it again. Well, sometime next week.
I did hear this, right? So the open game license that was supposed to come out that got leaked, they took the software down, right? And they made a 2.0 and they took it down quietly, and then they put it back up. Okay, and when they put it back up,
you're talking about D&D Beyond is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they put the license agreement back up. Okay.
The app.
The app, and they hid the cancellation thing off site. Okay.
Yeah.
So
now you have to jump through hoops.
Right. So now you have to jump through hoops to cancel because they're making shitty changes and people want to cancel their membership. So they closed down the app, did a fix, threw the app back up, and
now you can't cancel.
And took the cancellation button off of the app, and you have to follow these banners and stuff to get off site to a third party site to cancel your thing.
That's how fucked up it is.
That is Activision level bullshit.
Are we far enough into the show? I accidentally.
Yeah, we're almost at the end of the show. Right. If they demonetize us for that at the end of a 2-hour show,
just edit it. Just edit it out. Just edit it out.
Yeah.
Just cut this out.
Yeah, so it's crazy to me what's going on with Dungeons and Dragons right now. Right?
What's crazy to me is they have all the time in the world to come up with all the material they have. You just make stuff up. It's first of all, not to start a rant this late in the game, but the game is all in your mind.
Yeah.
It's an imagination game.
Yep.
Right? So I sell you books that have ideas in them so you can make stuff up in your head. How are you trying to monetize that? Right? The only way you can monetize that,
like
Wizards of the Coast, is for you to sell the little figures and little guys and stuff that you want us to buy. That's your selling point. And maybe, how about this? Have an author write a book. Like, that's all you have to do. You are a publishing company. You're not a tyrannical corporation that's trying to consume all third-party people. What the hell happened?
I have a question. Do they, and maybe chat can answer this, does Wizard of the Coast, do they sell blueprints of 3D printing characters on their site? Do they sell 3D printer? They do.
This is the issue, right? The issue is, as long as you don't name the same thing that's named in the book from D&D,
right,
you can make the same character. You can't copyright the creature that's been around for 40 years by pulling it out of your ass. Like, you just can't all of a sudden say, this is mine. Like, 75 people drew that thing over the last 40 years. Right? It's not yours anymore. It's the community's thing. If you want to make more money, then make something. Like, it's a business. Make something people want, and they'll give you money.
But that's what I'm saying.
They're trying to collect money from everyone.
No. But what I'm saying is, if they put some effort into, like, they get a sculptor to use Blender, and then in Blender they sell the blueprint, so anyone can download that blueprint for a fee, and then they can print out the thing on their own 3D printer. Is what I'm saying. Sure. That's what I was asking.
They're doing that now without them.
No, I understand that. You can make your own character. I'm saying, does Wizard of the Coast charge you for a blueprint so you can print on your 3D printer?
They don't bother.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So they don't make a character. So let's say they wrote a book with new characters, and then they sell you the characters. If you don't want to buy the book, they have new characters, and they go, here's a new character that we designed ourselves, and we wanted you to sell it so you can buy it for a lower fee so you can print it on your 3D printer.
And now I take that character, remove one limb, call it something else. Now it's mine.
Sure. But you have to pay for that blueprint.
But that's they're going to make their own. They can just go make their own. This is where we are. You have a company that doesn't make anything anymore, and they want to now capitalize on everybody else's imagination by collecting fees from those people because they've been working on third parties. How do you think D&D lasted this long?
So
how do you think it lasted this long?
How long do you think before they just sell it off to some other person?
Oh, I don't think Wizards will be hanging on too much longer. if this OGL releases in the state that it's actually in, that's the state that it's leaked in. If that's the way it releases, I think they're done. I'm pretty sure they're done. This is the last gasp of someone who's trying to get greedy on something that's been around for 40 years. Like all of a sudden now, I'll tell you this, what this stems from, right? What this stems from, and if you're a D&D nerd, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I'm sorry, you can look up the information, right? Critical Role during the pandemic got people to watch people playing D&D only because they are voice actors and they know how to act, and they embellished and they made it a show.
Right.
They made it a show. So everyone started watching them like a theater, and then they used to go to theaters, and then they got more people to watch them, and then more and more people started watching it because nobody was doing anything but staying home. Okay? Those people who love D&D continued to love D&D. And because Critical Role made so much money getting people to come back to D&D, Wizards of the Coast said, "Oh, wait a minute, we can't have this,
right,
and we can't have not part of this, right?" Did they do any of that? Did they attempt to do anything to publicize a game that's been around for 40 years that's in your head? Okay, no. But as soon as they smelled the blood in the water, they started this nonsense. They started this, right? We're about to find out how long this goes. I'll tell you what, anybody who still plays D&D, they don't care because they know all they need to do is buy a book of rules, or make up the rules yourself.
Right.
And you sit around and you play. That's the game.
Right.
You're sitting in a room talking to each other. Like it's not an actual, it's not this, right? This is an actual game, right? D&D is in your mind, and they're trying to capitalize on your brain. It doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't make sense.
We'll see how that story goes around.
It's supposed to come out next week. We're gonna find out next week.
I'm sure we'll have an update next week. So we have a Q&A section of the show, and the questions that we have right now is the first one from Smashville Viking. Is Sarge wearing pants, as he says every single week? Are you wearing pants? Second, Krebsy Gaming says, with Ubisoft's stock plummeting, does it seem to be repairing anytime soon, or who do you think buys them? I think we already answered this. We answered this during the show. I think
their business model fits perfectly in with Microsoft.
Yeah,
I think
Microsoft.
And if Sony decides to go down Microsoft's route by doing the same thing, then they also could be in the running.
Right.
Because they want something that causes them to have reoccurring spending regardless of the actual sale price of the game. That's basically what it is. I'm trading initial sales for long-term reoccurring money.
Sarge is off the screen. Hold on one second. All right, there he is. No, you're good. You're good. The next question comes from Big T. What video game franchise would you recreate in film form if you owned a film company? What video game franchise? I would do a Mass Effect film. I would do a Mass Effect film if I owned a franchise movie company. I would 100% make the trilogy of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and I would completely change everything, make sure it's diversified. I would make the aliens all humans, and then make the humans aliens to diversify it. No, but really, I would just make Mass Effect, and I would stick 100% to the lore of the actual game, and I would tell my actors to go play the fucking game so they know what the characters are in the game, because I would like them to be as close as possible to the actual lore of the game. That's what I would do. I would do a Mass Effect series. What about you, Sarge?
I gotta cut that out now too. There's so many IPs, man, and a lot of them already have bad movies out. I think Gears of War would make a good movie.
Yeah,
I think Gears of War would be a good movie.
Batista's been trying to get him to play Phoenix for for, I don't know, a decade. He wants to play Marcus Phoenix.
Like I think well, Final Fantasy Krebsy, that's like a whole nother level. I think it would look too much cheesy to do all the graphics for that, though. I think you could probably do a Gears of War, though.
Oh, for sure, we got Gears of War.
We've got the technology now.
Gears of War
For
got
sure.
the Netflix deal. Oh, did they? So they are coming out with a Gears of War then real soon. Last of Us just came out on HBO, or it's coming out. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I do know it's not accurate to the story. Oh, get this, Sarge. One of the articles written, this is why I made the joke of I would let my actors. They told the actresses and actors not to play the video game, so it wouldn't persuade them on how they act. Like, they don't want them to know anything about the lore of the game, right?
So you don't want anything. You don't want anything from the source material,
right? And then another thing,
basically you want to make up your own stuff by taking somebody else's idea,
right? And then on top of that, they where was I going with this? Oh shoot, I forgot where I was going with this. They told them not to watch the thing. There was something else about Last of Us. Oh, the Last of Us writers said that, it's different when you play a video game and you die in a video game because it has no impact. So in a show like this, it has impact. I'm like, unless you kill somebody in the actual real life for the show, it's just like a video game. Like, it's not like they die in the show and they're dead in real life. The video game, they die, it's just pixels. That's what they said. They said it's just pixels. And I was like, that sounds like a person that's never played a video game.
Right, exactly. So what you're saying is I have no emotional attachment to the pixels on the screen, which is a complete fallacy.
Right.
Right.
Because if I have no emotion,
there are more people that cried playing Final Fantasy just listening to the story than anything else.
Right.
Right.
They have no emotional attachment to that. And I'm like, you've never played a video game before.
You've never played a video game
because
before.
a video game has more attachment because you're the actual character that you're controlling. Right?
Yep.
I was just like, oh, boy.
Asinine.
Yeah. I was asinine. Like, oh, boy. The last question comes from Krebsy. He says, will Hogwarts Legacy outsell or an equivalent to Starfield on Xbox? Well, that's hard to say, Krebsy, because Starfield is not selling a game. They're selling subscription things, right? So how do we measure that? Because we know, look, even if people do go buy Starfield sales are not going to be anywhere near what Hogwarts is, because Hogwarts, everyone has to buy Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to buy Starfield. So I'm going to say, to answer your question, yes, it will outsell Starfield.
Yeah, Hogwarts wins. Yeah.
Just by that logic.
It's gonna be so strange.
Yeah.
We start getting data from that. It's gonna be so bizarre.
Well, I don't even think we're gonna get data. They're just gonna tell you, first week, 10 million people.
Starfield's out. It's doing well.
Right.
Bunch of people are playing it. It's doing well.
I literally said Starfield's equivalent. Yeah, but what is that? What is the equivalent of Starfield? Like, how would you take a sale to nothing that you don't know what the sales are going to be? How? I can't answer that because there's not going to be sales for Starfield. Right now, Starfield has 30 million people. Without knowing anything, 30 million people have access to it. Right? So 7 systems is 30 million people going to play Hogwarts, I guess. Number of people playing the game, but I think there's going to be more. I think it outsells. If you're talking selling or people playing, I think if the question is stated, if I think Hogwarts is going to have more people than Starfield, I'm still going to say yes, because Hogwarts and the fan base of that, I think there's people in the world that don't even know Bethesda's making Starfield, where Hogwarts, I think everyone that's a Harry Potter fan knows that it's coming out.
Yeah, well known.
Yeah,
I'll go Hogwarts.
I'm still going Hogwarts. People, money, whatever. Yeah. I don't know how you. I don't know how you.
It's gonna be a strange couple weeks coming up. I'm really sad inside is the fact that literally, and I mean this, literally everything from my childhood is being destroyed. Like everything from my childhood is being targeted.
Well,
now we're on D&D. You
well,
already screwed up my Scooby-Doo. Like, what is it? What is it with you people? Like, why don't you just leave my childhood alone? Like, what is it?
well,
I don't get it.
on not on the same as ruining things, Sarge, but today on my show, and this will be the last thing we talk about. We literally came up with. I said this is the greatest year of video games for me ever, because we have it's nerdgasm this year, because we have a Harry Potter game, like a Hogwarts game. We have a Star Wars game of Jedi Survivor coming out. We have a Marvel game of Spider-Man 2 coming out. We have a DC game of Suicide Squads coming out. Okay. Potentially we have a Transformers IP coming out this year. Okay. On top of that, there's supposed to be a Starship Troopers game coming out later this year. Then there's also a Lord of the Rings Gollum game that's coming out this year. Then we have Avatar, which is the new big franchise, which is coming out this year. There's 7 or 8 games. Oh, I forgot. RoboCop. RoboCop is also coming out this year. So there's 8 games of franchises.
There's going to be trouble.
Yeah. So there's 8 games of IPs of either massive franchises, right? We get the biggest franchises in the world all coming out with something this year. The big ones.
Crazy.
Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and now Avatar, right? So you have 5. Oh, and well, Transformers not. Well, it's big, but Avatar's huge, right? Even though it's only been 1 movie, 2 movies, still a huge franchise. People love it, whatever. So, like, that's insane. In 1 year, all these same massive.
If they all stick to the dates, yes.
Sure. There's always that. But you get 2 right off the bat. You get Hogwarts and you get Jedi Survivor coming out in the first 3 months. I don't think that's ever happened before, where you have every single major franchise that people know all coming out with some sort of video game in the same year.
It's gonna be interesting.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Chief says no more originality is the problem. Yeah, I feel like that everything that we've seen, there's no originality because no one watches anything. They just, well, I shouldn't say don't watch anything. They're just closed-minded. They're like, I saw Back to the Future. What about if I write Back to the Future? And they make a new Back to the Future. Like, instead of going, you know what? I really like the movie Back to the Future. What about if I made a movie like Back to the Future, but it's not Back to the Future? I mean, I said this today with Velma. The Scooby-Doo show that's on HBO Max is getting destroyed, Sarge, right? I said, why are you making a Scooby-Doo show? Why don't you just make a show like Scooby-Doo, right? Because they changed.
They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent.
They race swapped 2 characters. Okay, they got rid of Scooby. Okay, and it's like a prequel. And I'm like, why didn't you just get 4 people that are solving mysteries?
It's called Hardy Boys.
Yeah, but like Scooby-Doo, but make it your own. Why are you taking the IP of Scooby-Doo and then shitting on it? You know what I mean?
Because it's to destroy the past.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense.
It does. When you're trying to rewrite history, it makes perfect sense, because you take the old guard and you rewrite it into the new guard, and then if everyone believes you, then there is no old guard. That's how it works.
Right. I always made fun of this when I said before I had a kid. I said if I ever had a kid, and this is before I had a kid, I said I'm gonna make him listen to the Weird Al Yankovic songs, and tell him that Michael Jackson did a cover of his songs, right? Because that would
he'd believe you.
He would believe it. Right? I've also said that if the world came to an end and some alien race came to the planet and they found the book of Harry Potter, okay, they would think that is the Bible, right? And then they would believe that was a true story and believe and then tell grand stories of the thing, right? Because that's basically what they're doing. You're retelling stories that didn't happen before with the lore, right? I don't know. El Dante says, or make the people that inspire the original Scooby Gang. Right. That would be interesting. Control-C, Control-V, change a few words. That's it. No, you don't even need to do that, Krebsy. You can use Chat GPI, and then the AI can just write the story for you. You don't even need to copy paste anymore. Classic says the real question is with Velma's Scooby show is why they're half naked girls in the high school locker room. Because why not? I mean,
I got the answer for you. It starts with a G and ends with a G, but I'm not going to say the word.
The synopsis of the show, I said this earlier in my other show, literally says Fred has a small penis. Okay, that's in the synopsis, that Fred has a mansion and his privates are small. Like, why is that even a thing? But whatever. Hey, they won't be happy until they crush everyone's childhood. But what's next on the docket? Anyway,
I'm playing Division 2.
That'll be it for tonight. We do appreciate you for coming out and hanging out with us each and every single week on Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. Episode 339 is in the can. We do appreciate you. If you'd like to help us out in any way, shape, or form, hit that like button. It's absolutely free. You can hit the subscribe button. That's also free. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member. And if you're not a member, as little as $4.99, you can become a member. We do lots of different content on this channel. We do uploads. We do live shows 4 days a week in the mornings, called The Daily Grind. We do this podcast Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we do Let's Plays 3 nights a week, Monday through Tuesday, Wednesday. So lots and lots of different content on this. So I do appreciate you very much for coming out and hanging out with us. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
Game on, guys.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.